Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
One Piece, Different Beginnings by Monkey.D.Griffin. Luffy eats a overpowered hybrid devil fruit at the age of 7 and shows traces of haki on accident. Seeing this, a pirate, red-haired Shanks, decides to return after 2 years and take him with him to the Grand Line. Now, 8 years later, Luffy returns to the East Blue to start his journey. I don't own anything. Member list. Warlord, Garrick Russell. Warlord, Leilani Morris. Adios.
In a bar in Fuchsia Village. Didn't hurt at all, stated Luffy with tears in his eyes and a band-aid on his cheek. Ha, you liar. You were screaming like a little girl, laughed Shanks with some booze in his hand. Don't do anything so stupid again, you hear me? Said Shanks, looking actually serious for a second before continuing to laugh his ass off at Luffy's stupid pout face. I'm not scared of getting hurt. Next time you guys go to sea, take me with you. I want to be a pirate too, said Luffy. Like hell, you can't even swim, you little anchor, said Shanks before laughing at the nickname he just made. Yeah, well, I can fight great too. My punch is as strong as a pistol, said Luffy while pointing his fist towards Shanks. Oh really? Shanks deadpanned. What is that supposed to mean? Hey, screamed Luffy in anger. Come on Luffy, cheer up, said a pirate dancing around while drinking booze. Yeah, the sea is grand and vast, and a pirate's life is truly one of a kind, stated another pirate. Oi guys, not helping, said Shanks, but why boss, it's true ain't it, said the pirate. Look Luffy, you are just too young and weak to be on a pirate ship, it is just not safe for you, said Shanks looking fully serious. Damn it, I'm not a kid, I'm a man, yelled Luffy. Yeah sure, calm down here, drink some juice, said Shanks. Oh thanks, said Luffy while drinking the juice. Shanks instantly burst out laughing. Never heard of a pirate who drinks juice, said Shanks. Damn it, you tricked me again, yelled Luffy angrily. Everyone in the bar started laughing. Suddenly the wooden door came flying off its hinges, causing everyone to turn and see a group of men, the one who seemed to be the leader, a tall and dark-skinned man wearing a brown coat. Excuse me, said the man in a gruff deep voice, so these are meant to be pirates? What a joke, the man said. We're mountain bandits, stated the man. Just relax, we only want around 10 barrels of booze and we'll be on our way, stated the man. I am sorry sir, but we are all out of booze, said Makino the bartender, a green-haired beautiful woman. That right? He queried. So what are they drinking, water? Asked the man. No, that is just the last of what we have, said Makino. It's true, Shanks spoke up quite nonchalantly. My men and I already cleared the place out, sorry about that. Tell you what, you can have this, Shanks said while pointing a bottle of booze at the man. It is even unopened. Crack. The man broke the bottle by punching it, spraying it all over Shanks. Who the hell do you think I am? Said the man. What is one bottle going to do? Shanks just sat there, his straw hat covering his eyes all soaked in booze, when suddenly he sighs and reveals a very disappointed look. Look at the mess you made, said Shanks, grabbing a cloth getting ready to clean it up. No wait captain, let me clean it, said Makino hurrying over to Shanks. So you like to clean, do you? Said the man, grabbing his sword and slashing at the glasses on the counter, successfully forcing Shanks to sit down on the floor, back to the floor, straw hat covering his eyes. Here's more for you to clean up, the man laughed. Let me show you something, said the man, pulling out a poster with his face on it. Wanted dead or alive, Higuma the bear, 8000.000 berries. I'm a wanted man, you know. I have killed 56 people, bragged Higuma. Don't cross me again, pirate, cause if you do I won't spare you again, said Higuma, gathering his men and leaving. As soon as they left, Makino ran over to Shanks. Captain, are you okay? She said, worried. Perfectly fine, Makino, he said before snickering and bursting into laughter along with the rest of the crew. That idiot sure got you good, Captain, said a pirate. What a loser, added another. Why are you all laughing? Screamed Luffy. You think that's funny? He made you all look like a bunch of idiots. And all you do is laugh. He was right, you are all a bunch of losers. Hey, calm down, all he did was spill booze on me. Nothing worth getting bent out of shape over, said Shanks, trying to calm Luffy down. Yeah, whatever, said Luffy as he jumped from his seat and began walking away. Hey Luffy, wait up, said Shanks as he grabbed his arm. Get back here. Suddenly Luffy's arm started stretching a lot. What's happening to me? Screamed Luffy in horror. Everyone's jaw dropped. What the hell? Screamed Shanks. Boss, it's gone, the devil fruit, it's not in the box, screamed Lucky Roo, a fat pirate with a wee and green striped shirt. You mean, said Shanks in utter disbelief. Hey Luffy, did you eat this fruit? said Lucky Roo holding up a picture of a purple and blue fruit. Yeah, said Luffy a little bit scared. You idiot, you just ate a devil fruit, a fruit that gives you special fruit in exchange for your ability to swim, and by the looks of your stretching arm you ate the gum fruit, making you a rubber man, screamed Shanks. Luffy gasped in horror at this. What, no way, screamed Luffy. You dumbass, screamed Shanks. 2 days later, Luffy was happily walking along the streets of Fuchsia Village. He sees some kids playing a game of what looked like Marines versus pirates. He jogs over to them. Hey guys, can I play? Luffy practically yelled. Oh no, look, it's that kid again, muttered one of them. Yeah, other kids call him a monster, say he has survived things like a jungle by himself. What a freak, muttered another. Hey, so can I play with you guys pretty please? Said Luffy with that inhuman smile of his. I actually had to go home early today, sorry, said one looking nervous. Yeah, I am actually really hungry, I am going home, said another. The other kids all nodded and started walking, running away when Luffy grabbed one of them. Hey guys, come on just for a little, begged Luffy. I'll let me go, the girl screamed when suddenly the oldest kid came and punched Luffy square in the face, sending him a few feet back. Get lost, you damn freak, you're a monster, screamed the oldest while running away. Luffy was left there with a completely emotionless face. Anyone who knew him though could tell he was upset. All the adults around the air saw what happened, looking at Luffy with saddened faces. From behind one of the buildings a certain figure just saw what happened, completely angered and feeling sorry for Luffy. Later at night on a small plain field under a tree, Luffy sat there sobbing. They all have friends, I'm here alone, croaked out Luffy to himself. Hey, that ain't true, you know, I mean I'm still here, said Shanks approaching Luffy. Luffy looked to see Shanks sitting next to him and actually having a warm smile for once. Luffy just scowled at him and looked away. Shanks didn't care though, just chuckled a bit. You know, I saw how those kids were treating you back there, said Shanks. I just wanted to play, but everyone ignores me, I don't know why. What did I do, sobbed Luffy. I have been told by the people that all the kids do that to you. Say you are a monster, so why do you want to be friends with them? Asked Shanks. Who else is there? My Gramps is never home, and when he is all he does is train me. Makino is nice, but she is way too busy to play with me all the time. I have no one to ever play with, muttered Luffy, who seemed to finally stop crying even if his eyes were still glossy. I see, said Shanks, understanding Luffy more and also gaining respect for how he can still smile that big with all this happening. You are so lucky, you have so many friends, muttered Luffy, jealousy present in his voice. Shanks just chuckled. I'm guessing that's why you always want to come with us on adventures then, Shanks stated, not really needing an answer.
Yeah, Luffy answered. Hey Shanks, said Luffy. Shanks turned his face to him. Do you think I will have friends? Asked Luffy.
Shanks felt his heart go out to Luffy at that point. Who knows, but knowing you, you'll find a way, Shanks said while smirking. Anchor. Hey, screamed Luffy, slightly pissed but mostly happy. Shanks just laughed. A little while later Luffy fell asleep after looking at the moon and Shanks carried him to Makino's house. He swore, but thought of it as his imagination. 2 weeks later Luffy was currently sitting at the party bar. It was completely empty apart from him and Makino. The guys have been gone a while, Makino began. You miss them? Yeah, a bit, even if they were cowards and didn't fight back, said Luffy. You do know they were actually being brave, right? Asked Makino. Yeah right, a real man would kick their asses, they didn't do anything, said Luffy.
Makino just sighs. Then the door is opened, not kicked this time, thank God they learned how to open doors, and in come Higuma and his bandits.
Well, looks like those pirates aren't here this time, must have taken my warning wisely, laughed Higuma and the rest of the bandits. Hey pretty lady, give us some booze will ya, or do you only serve pirates around here? Said Higuma with a sick grin on his face. Why yes of course, said Makino as she hurried to prepare their drinks.
A little while later when they were all getting drunk they started joking about the pathetic excuse for pirates they dealt with the other day, obviously referring to Shanks and his crew, calling them cowards and such.
Then Luffy got angry at them and yelled at them. Hey bastards, shut up, don't say that about Shanks, he's a much better man than you could ever be, damn cowards, Luffy yelled, clearly infuriated. Instantly the entire bar went silent. Oh yeah kid, Higuma began, and what the hell are you going to do about it then? He challenged, looking ready to kill the stupid kid who just insulted him. Higuma got his answer when Luffy's arm suddenly turned black for a moment and decked him halfway across the bar, leaving some blood on his face. That was the last straw. The bandits all rushed Luffy and threw him outside the bar. Luffy, cried Makino. She ran to him. Stop, he is just a child, she said. Not soon after though she got punched in the gut and thrown aside by Higuma. Piss off bitch, this ain't none of your business, roared Higuma as he continued to beat down on Luffy. As soon as Luffy saw that, he saw red and unleashed a wave of power which made half the bandits faint while the other half jumped back a bit. What the hell was that, you damn freak, said Higuma as he stepped back a bit. But soon after gained his composure and went back to beating Luffy in the middle of town with the rest of bandits. Damn it, why the hell don't you just break already? Roared Higuma, clearly pissed off even more. Just then Makino came running with the mayor of the village. Whoop slap. Stop it, let the poor boy go, screamed Whoop slap, making Higuma put his foot on Luffy's head and look at him. I'll even pay you please, begged Whoop slap. Mayor, said Luffy, utterly shocked. While the old may know the ways of the world better than us, Higuma began, I'm afraid I can't let him go, not even for money. He has disrespected me and my men and deserves to die. You started it, you bastard, Luffy screamed out, and instantly got a foot to the gut. That is it, I'm killing you right now, roared Higuma. What's going on here? Said Shanks in a sort of chill but dark tone, standing behind Makino with the rest of his crew. Everyone gasped at Shanks' sudden appearance, including the people spectating from within their homes. See Captain Shanks, Makino exclaimed, oh, it's you bandits again. He then looked at Luffy. Hey Luffy, what's wrong? Thought your punch was as strong as a pistol, said Shanks nonchalantly. Hey, I decked him in the face, look at that blood. Shanks then noticed the blood on Higuma's face and started snickering, as did the rest of his crew. What do you know, maybe there was some truth to that after all, Shanks exclaimed. TCH, you damn pirates still around, don't you have some cleaning to do? Higuma jokes. I don't know what the hell you idiots are doing here, but it's best if you piss off and don't come any closer, unless you have a death wish. Ignoring his warnings, Shanks just casually walked up there, being stopped by a gun pointed to his head. Didn't ya hear him? Piss off, said the bandit. Would you risk your life? Said Shanks. Huh? Said the bandit. Now that you have drawn your pistol, are you willing to use it? Shanks said. The hell are you talking about? The bandit asked, extremely confused. I'm saying guns aren't for threats, they're for action, said Shanks. Before anyone could even make sense of what he said, Lucky Roo appeared and shot the bandit through the skull. The hell? Everyone asked in shock, save the red hair pirates, and Luffy, who was too amazed to even speak. Damn bastards, that was a cheap shot, exclaimed a bandit. Yeah, who the hell do you think you are dealing with, Saints? Asked the first mate of the red hair pirates, Ben Beckman, a tall man with black hair and a cigarette, holding a gun. You're dealing with a bunch of pirates, we don't play by rules, stated Shanks, hat covering his eyes. Listen up bandits, Shanks began, whether I'm sprayed with alcohol or doused with food, hell even if I'm spit on, most of the time I'll laugh it off, but if you hurt one of my friends, good reason or not, you'll pay for it, Shanks exclaimed. Shanks, Luffy whispered in disbelief. So we're going to pay, huh? Men, go kill these sorry excuses for pirates, Higuma ordered. Let me handle this, said Ben as he walked on forward and knocked them all out within a few seconds flat. If you think a few crappy men is all it's going to take to beat us, you are dead wrong. Next time try a battleship, stated Ben coolly. And now wait a minute, this brat started it, not me, said Higuma, finally realizing the shit he dug himself into. Well, you are a wanted man, aren't you? Shanks smirked, finally revealing his eyes filled with anger and hatred. Higuma instantly pissed his pants and grabbed a smoke bomb and threw it, successfully escaping with Luffy. Gah, they took Luffy, Shanks screamed, standing comically with both his hands on his head. A few minutes later on the sea in a small dinghy, Ha, escaped those bastards. Higuma laughed with Luffy still under his foot. No one would ever think of finding a mountain bandit on the sea, said Higuma. Let me go, you bastard, yelled out Luffy. About time I kill you, said Higuma as he threw Luffy off the boat and started laughing. As soon as Luffy fell in, he panicked, remembering what Shanks said about losing the ability to swim, but soon realized he was actually not sinking and was able to do a bit of broken swimming. Meanwhile, while Luffy was swimming a bit, a sea king came up behind Higuma and full-on swallowed him in the dinghy hole, terrifying Luffy. He tried to swim away but to no avail, since he still doesn't know how to swim. The sea king saw Luffy and was about to go for the kill when rip, there was a bit of leftover blood in the air, except it wasn't Luffy's blood. Luffy was then being held by Shanks with one arm, his face tucked into Shanks' chest. Shanks took one clear look at the Sea King and his gaze hardened. Get lost, he said in a very deadly voice, making the Sea King shake in fear. He quickly obeyed and left. I'm in your debt, Luffy, Shanks began. Makino told me about what happened and how you stood up for us. Thank you, Luffy.
Luffy only sniffled in response, clutching to Shanks' shirt.
Hey, don't cry, you're a man, right? Said Shanks. But Shanks, your arm, Luffy cried. Shanks' left arm had been torn right off by the Sea King, yet he just smiled. It's fine, Luffy, it's just an arm, I'm just glad you're alright, said Shanks with a warm smile. Later, when Shanks was getting his injury looked at, Shanks, Ben, Makino and the doctor from Shanks' crew were in the room. Makino told Shanks about Luffy's arm turning black and how people just fainted. Needless to say, Shanks was shocked, and so was Ben. Did he seriously just use hockey at such a young age, and in the East no less? Shanks thought, utterly shocked. Ben finally spoke up. Looks like the kid is better than we thought, huh? Shanks nodded. Yeah, to awaken hockey at such a young age. Makino just sat there confused. What is this hockey? She asked.
Shanks and Ben explained to her exactly what Luffy just did, leaving Makino shocked herself.
Hey Mayoblim, if I actually took Luffy with me to train him, asked Shanks. Makino just sat there silent. As much as she wanted to have Luffy stay, she knew it was his dream and how important it is he controls his power before someone gets hurt. The only problem was, Garp. I have no problem, but Garp won't be too happy, said Makino. Oh, we can deal with that problem, said Shanks confidently, even if inside he was pissing himself. Ben spoke up then. Didn't you say when you saw Luffy he was swimming? Shanks' eyes then popped out of his head. How was he swimming? He ate a devil fruit. Ben, being the voice of reason, said, isn't the gum fruit only purple? The fruit Luffy ate was half purple half blue.
Wait, you don't mean he ate some kind of hybrid fruit, do you? Shanks asked, even more shocked.
Is that even possible? Said Makino, also shocked at Luffy's luck. Let's go find out, said Ben outside. Hey Luffy, get over here, yelled Shanks. Luffy came running. Hey, is your injury fine? You gonna die? Luffy was panicking. No, I am fine. Luffy, calm down. Listen, were you swimming back there? Asked Shanks. Luffy then calmed down and realized, yeah, you jerk, you lied to me, you said I couldn't swim, I was swimming fine, stated Luffy. Shanks now had a hunch. Hey Luffy, see that water? Imagine controlling it, like making it rise up. Do hand motions if you need to, just try, said Shanks. Luffy just thought he was an idiot. How is he supposed to do that, but just did it anyway when the water actually rose and he was playing with it. Saying he and everyone else present was shocked was quite the understatement. What the hell, I thought I was a rubber guy, screamed Luffy. Then it hit Luffy, Sugee. Luffy exclaimed with stars in his eyes. Ben, Shanks, Makino, Lucky Roo and Yasop, you know who he is, I'm too tired to explain, just stood there completely shocked while Luffy was playing with the water and dancing like cavemen did when they discovered fire. Okay, what the foof, Shanks said before he got decked by Makino for swearing in front of Luffy.
1 week later. It was around midday in Fuchsia village and the red hair pirates were getting ready to sail.
So you were actually properly leaving this time then? Asked Luffy, sad his only friends save Makino were leaving. Yeah, we had this vacation go on much longer than expected, replied Shanks. Hey Shanks. Luffy began, causing the pirate to look over to him. I know we have joked about this other times, but this time please take me with you. I want to be stronger, strong enough to protect everyone I care about and I need help, Luffy exclaimed. Shanks stood there seeing how the boy who never once admitted he was weak and always boasted sucked his pride in and asked for help, for the sake of those he cares about. It also made things a shitload easier for him since he was going to drag Luffy's ass to the Grand Line to train him. However, Luffy was still too young. Oh, so you need help then, said Shanks, straw hat covering his eyes. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be a greater pirate than you could ever be. In fact, I'm going to be king of the pirates. Luffy practically let the entire world know. Oh, so you're going to surpass us? Shanks smirked and took his beloved straw hat off his head and placed it on Luffy's head, shocking the raven-haired boy to tears. Fine then, I'll be back in 3 years Luffy, by then you'll be old enough to take to the Grand Line. However, you have to be strong enough, so till then train your ass off, ya hear me? Shanks stated, filled with pride at the young raven-haired boy. Luffy just nodded, tears leaking from his eyes, and watched his friends sail away and stayed there till he couldn't see their ship anymore, eventually returning to the party bar with both the happiest and saddest anyone has ever seen him wear. He is going to be training hard these next couple of years, that's for sure. Chapter 2. 3 weeks later, Garp, Luffy's grandpa, a very tall bulky man, had came back for a break from his duty of vice admiral to visit Luffy and was currently kicking Luffy's ass on a navy boat in the middle of the ocean. Let me go, you old bastard, Luffy cried out in pain and anger. The hell kind of way is to talk to your grandpa, you little runt, Garp roared as he hit Luffy another 3 times. How the hell are you hurting me? I'm supposed to turn to wait, oof, yelled Luffy as he got hit again. Ha, it's called the fist of love, brat, and stop swearing, little shit, hypocrite, exclaimed Garp. Suddenly a marine soldier came in the room and informed them that they see land, which in turn caused Garp to finally stop beating the living shit out of Luffy and drag his ass outside. Listen up Luffy, I'm dropping you off at this island for 2 months, and that time the person you'll be living with will stuff some manners into you and hopefully make you want to be a marine, said Garp, mildly horrifying Luffy. Oh boy, I'm supposed to train, take me back, you old fart, yelled Luffy, instantly covering his face for a punch that surprisingly never came. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that, brat, and don't worry, after this you will the rest of your life to train to be a marine, said Garp. Luffy just ignored his grandpa, not wanting another beating. On the island, all right men, stay on the ship, I'll be back shortly, is that understood? Garp commanded more than asked. Yes sir, replied the marines. All right. Brat, let's go, Garp said to Luffy, surprisingly calm for once. Luffy just followed while grumbling something about how Garp is stupid and such.
Now Luffy listen, Garp began, when we get there be on your best behavior you understand otherwise that person will make you regret it.
Luffy just gulped, actually fearing for his life later in the woods outside a house. Alright, we're finally here, said Garp as he went to knock on the door once, then twice and then 10 more times. Luffy just sweat dropped at his grandpa's lack of patience. I'm coming, geez, came a half-demon, half-feminine voice from the inside, causing Garp to mentally shit his pants and stop knocking. Luffy just stood there trying to look cute in hopes that he won't die if he acts cute. Finally, the door opened and out came a tall woman with long fuchsia hair with a Chelsea Hawk haircut. Damn it Garp, how many times have I told you to knock like a normal person? She yelled when she saw Garp. The woman didn't notice the child hiding behind his grandpa's leg on the point of fainting. Ah Belmir, it's been a long time, how ya been? Said Garp trying to change the subject. I was fine till you came, said Belmir, clearly not ready to deal with his shit this early in the morning. Well anyway, why are you here? Asked Belmir. Yeah, I was wondering if you could help teach my grandson some manners, by having him live with you for the next 2 months or so, asked Garp sweating. Luffy just sweat dropped at this, he didn't even tell her beforehand, Luffy thought. Do I look like some babysitting service to you old man? Yelled Belmir, while gaining a shit ton of respect from Luffy for having the guts to say that and actually not getting hit.
Listen, I understand how you feel but he's not as bad as you think, all he needs is things like table manners and some speech manners, Garp pleaded.
Fine then, so where is he? Belmir finally gave in. Right here, said Garp making Luffy stand in front of him. Belmir just looked at him, she didn't even notice him standing there, he was also extremely cute and was currently using puppy dog eyes to what she assumed was hopes of not getting hit. Belmir snickered at this. Hey kid, what's your name? Asked Belmir.
Luffy suddenly gaining back his confidence grinned like an idiot and said, Hi, I'm Monkey D. Luffy and I'm gonna be king of the pirates.
Belmir looked at him with slightly widened eyes. Then she burst out laughing. The irony of the grandson of the hero of the Marines wanting to be the pirate king made her crack. Garp just hit Luffy's head again for putting up a terrible first impression. When Belmir finally stopped laughing she asked, So I'm guessing this is also something you need help with? Garp just scratched the back of his head and said, It's not something I expect you to fix, he is extremely stubborn, just sort out his manners a bit for me please. Luffy just turned with unnaturally widened eyes and said, Holy crap, did you just say please? Belmir just laughed even harder at this to the point when she was bending over clutching her stomach. Garp just cleared his throat and said, This is ex-Marine Belmir, she will be taking care of you for the next 2 months. Belmir finally stopped laughing and heard Luffy say, Nice to meet ya. Nice to meet ya too kid, Belmir responded. Anyways, I'll get out of your hair now, said Garp as he began to leave. Behave Luffy, he yelled back. As soon as Garp left, Luffy's stomach grumbled. He turned to Belmir with puppy dog eyes and asked, Can I please have something to eat? Belmir just sighed and led him inside the house. After Luffy's meal, Belmir learned to never ever underestimate his appetite. The kid ate 2 times more than her. He also sometimes used his hands, to which she whacked him on the head telling him to use some utensils. Luffy was shocked she could hit him but just left it be as some astronomical power he could never understand. She is lucky her husband left back a lot of supplies for her. Luffy, while he didn't have the best of manners, was still a good kid. He would give thanks for the food before eating and was caring as well. Forced Belmir to eat some of his when she barely had anything. She was snapped out of her thoughts when she heard Luffy ask, Who are these people, while looking at a picture. Belmir went up to him and saw he was referring to the picture of her and her family.
That's my family Luffy, she said. She first pointed to Genzo, a dark-skinned man with a mustache and a pinwheel hat. That's my husband.
Wow, is that a pinwheel hat? So cool, Luffy exclaimed with stars in his eyes. Belmir chuckled at this and continued. That's Najiko, she said while pointing to a blue-haired girl with semi-dark skin. Blue hair, that's so cool, Luffy exclaimed again with stars in his eyes. Belmir was getting convinced that, so cool, was his catchphrase. And finally, she pointed to a girl with orange hair and light skin. And this is Nami, Belmir finished. Luffy just stood there kind of shocking Belmir. He didn't say his catchphrase again. Then suddenly, Does everyone in your family use hair dye or something? Belmir heard him say, and a second later bending over laughing her ass off. When Belmir finally calmed down, she told Luffy how her daughters and she weren't related by blood but she still considers them family, to which Luffy replied. That makes sense, I have someone back home named Makino who is like an older sister to me, said Luffy, then he added, Oh, and she is also very pretty and has green hair.
Belmir just blinked at how he went from serious to a total idiot within a span of seconds.
She sounds nice, Belmir replied while snickering. So where is your family? Luffy asked. Well, my daughters have always wanted to get off the island for a trip. So my husband decided to take them to some tropic island for 3 months. I decided to stay back to take care of my tangerine grove, replied Belmir, clearly a little bit sad. "Oh, I see you must miss them, huh?" asked Luffy. "Well, I do, but I'm happy that Nami and Nijiko get to go have some fun at least," Belmir replied. Luffy isn't as dumb as people may think. Seeing as how this was affecting her, he decided to change the subject. "Wait a minute, weren't you saying something about a tangerine grove?" Luffy asked, hoping to lighten up the mood. Well, to say it worked was an understatement. Belmir instantly brightened up and dragged Luffy to show him her tangerine grove. Luffy was in awe at all the tangerines, there were so many. Belmir then went and picked a tangerine that looked ripe. "Here, try one, these are my prized possessions. In a way you can say they are my treasure," said Belmir with a giant grin. Luffy understood completely what she meant by that. He had his straw hat after all. Luffy accepted the fruit gratefully, and like the idiot he is was about to take a bite out of the fruit with the skin still on when Belmir took it off him and peeled it for him. When Luffy ate it, he looked like he just came back from heaven. His face was all dazed as well. Then he said, "So good." Belmir just laughed at him, then said, "Good cause. If ya didn't like them, I'd make you face hell itself." Luffy gulped hard, happy the fruit tasted good and he didn't say something stupid. 2 weeks later, Belmir was watching Luffy Tron as he somehow did more push-ups in a minute than her husband has ever done in his life. Though a kid, Luffy was a monster for his age, and not to mention he keeps going on and on about becoming the Pirate King. Belmir, though she wouldn't admit it, has become attached to the idiot. She was suddenly snapped out of her thoughts when Luffy came up to her and hugged her out of nowhere. To say she was surprised was kind of an understatement. Luffy had also become quite attached to Belmir, even if she could be mean at times. "I'm tired," muttered Luffy, and then yawning right after.
It was quite late at night, to be fair. Belmir carried him to Nami and Nojiko's room, which he has been sleeping for the past 2 weeks.
When she laid him down in bed, she decided to sit next to him and talk. It has practically become a tradition the past week onwards that they talk a bit before the sleep. She put his straw hat on the bedside. She then asked him, "Why do you want to become a pirate so much?" She would lie if she said she hasn't been curious. He was always rambling on about it. Luffy looked at her, then sat up. "Well, I made a promise," he said. Belmir cocked an eyebrow. What kind of promise involves becoming a pirate? Luffy then continued, "My entire life I have always been alone. I never knew who my mom and dad were. Grandpa is never home, and when he is, all he does he beat me up for the smallest mistakes and force me to be a marine. Sure, there is Makino, but she has a job and she is busy most of the time." Belmir then looked at him and asked, "Why don't you have any friends?" Luffy just smiled and said, "All the kids hate me." Belmir's eyes widened an extreme amount. How can someone hate Luffy, she wondered. "Why?" she asked. "I don't know, they just do. They call me things like monster and freak. They say it's because I survived a few days in the jungle when Gramps threw me in for training," replied Luffy, looking emotionless but like he was going to burst any second at the same time. Belmir was now utterly furious. Luffy was singled out his whole life just because he survived, and to top it all off, it was that old dumbass's fault. Luffy then continued, "Then 2 years ago pirates came to our island. They were called the Red Hair Pirates." Belmir's eyes widened. She knew about them. Apparently the leader was in Gold D. Roger's crew. Their captain named Shanks saw me always sitting by myself, and he approached me one day, asked me if I wanted to be his friend. I was so happy then. No one ever asked me that, said Luffy, his face brightening up a bit. Belmir was little shocked, but not too much. After all, when she was a marine she was only devoted to taking down bad pirates who only plunder and well stick to the stereotype. After that I became friends with the rest of his crew and always begged them to take me on their voyages. They refused each time, saying I was too weak. I would always get angry and yell, but they just laughed. Then a month ago from now, this stupid bandit came in the bar we always hang out, and he spilled a lot of booze on Shanks and he just laughed it off. I called him a lot of names as well, like stupid and coward. Luffy's smile dipped at that. Belmir also looked at Luffy, understanding that he is just a kid and couldn't possibly have known Shanks did the right thing. I also ate a devil fruit while all that was happening, Luffy added. Belmir's eyes popped out at that. What? Which one, any why? I ate it because I was hungry and I didn't know what it was, and the one I ate was a hybrid devil fruit, but I didn't find that out until much later. The powers it had was rubber, which is the one I knew about, in water, which I found out later. Belmir just looked at him, purely shocked. "See, can ya show me?" Luffy just stretched his cheek very far out, showing his rubber powers, then he turned his hand into water. Belmir looked at him and asked, "Well, since you have water powers, can you swim?" Luffy nodded a lot with a giant grin. Belmir nearly fell off the bed. This kid just ate a devil fruit and doesn't even have the only weakness of not being able to swim. Soon after she regained her composure, Luffy continued. "A few days after that he saw me getting punched by this kid I was trying to play with." Belmir's anger suddenly rose at that. "I was sitting alone after that and he still came and comforted me even after everything I said to him." Belmir smiled. Pirate or not, Shanks was a pretty nice guy. Luffy continued. "A few weeks later that bandit guy and his crew showed up again at the bar. Shanks and his crew were on a voyage at the time. They started talking badly about Shanks and I got angry and yelled at them. I also punched the boss and gave him a bloody face. Luffy's face brightened a lot at that and he started chuckling. Belmir just sighed and shook her head. After that they started beating me up a lot, Luffy stated. Belmir winced but asked, shouldn't their attacks go through you since you are water? Luffy nodded and said, apparently since I was thinking of being rubber and stuff my water power didn't activate, but I still don't understand how you can hit me though. Luffy pouted at that. Belmir just snickered and said, who knows. Luffy continued his story. They were about to kill me when Makino showed up with the mayor. They offered him money but he didn't agree, then Shanks and his crew suddenly appeared, Luffy said with star eyes.
Belmir just listened intently, amused by his antics.
Shanks was so cool. He made this cool speech and everything, then some of his crew beat up the bandits. But the leader used a smoke bomb and escaped with me. Belmir's sweat dropped. Seriously, after all that he just escapes like that? The guy threw me in the water but got eaten by a sea king. Belmir smirked. Then the sea king saw me and was about to eat me when Shanks appeared and saved me. He just looked at it and said, get lost, and he swam away. Conqueror's hockey, Belmir thought. But Luffy began. He lost his left arm saving me. Belmir's eyes widened at this. He didn't even care, he just thanked me for fighting for him and said, it's just an arm. Belmir was surprised she hasn't ended up in the hospital due to shock yet. The amount of times she has been shocked tonight is impeccable. Then when he was about to leave I asked him if I could go with him to get stronger and protect my friends. I also told him I would surpass him and become the pirate king. Surprisingly he didn't laugh and agreed and said he will be back in 2 years and if I am strong enough he will take me with him. He also gave me this. Luffy picked up his hat. He told me to take care of it and that it was very precious to him. Belmir blinked in realization, so that's why he protects that thing like a mother does her child, she thought in awe and a bit of amusement at her remark. And yeah, that's the story. Luffy finished. Belmir looked at him. She understood completely why he wanted to be a pirate so bad. Then she realized 2 years. Wait, what, 2 years you are leaving with Shanks? Belmir screamed in shock, finally understanding the magnitude of the situation. Yep, don't tell Gramps, Makino said she will deal with him when the time comes. Luffy grinned. Belmir officially fainted on Luffy from shock and the both of them ended up sleeping like that. A month later Luffy was running around the house in reason when he suddenly slipped and fell. A framed picture fell on him cushioned by his stomach. He picked it up and saw a map drawn very expertly. He picked up the map and took it to Belmir to ask her about it. Hey Belmir, what is this? Luffy asked. Belmir looked and saw the first and only map Nami drew so far. Oh, that is a map Nami drew, Belmir answered, waiting for his reaction. Luffy's eyes popped out. A child made this. Belmir smirked at his reaction.
Good, isn't it? Luffy just nodded dumbly. She says her dream is to draw a map of the world when she grows up, said Belmir.
Luffy snapped out of his daze. Whoa, that is gonna take a lot of time and she will need to be strong and stuff as well, Luffy replied in his very rare moment of smartness. Belmir nodded. Well, you know, if you want you can try to make her join your crew, you are gonna be pirate king after all, right? Luffy thought about it then nodded vigorously. Yeah, that would be cool, but only if she wants to though. Belmir rose an eyebrow at this then chuckled. Sure, whatever you want to do. 2 weeks later Luffy and Belmir had officially become very close. Belmir thought of him as a son even while Luffy thought of her as the closest thing he is going to get to a mother.
Lots of things have happened since Luffy first arrived. Luffy learned table manners, not that he will ever really use them. He learned how to tell if tangerines were ripe or not and a few more things.
Belmir had also become more easygoing and gained the patience of a goddess. It was finally time for Luffy to leave and return to Fuchsia village. Luffy was hugging Belmir and she was doing the same. I'll see you in 8 years, said Luffy. Oh, are you gonna visit me? Belmir jokes. Yeah, and also have to see if Nami wants to become a part of my crew, stated Luffy. Belmir blinked and smiled. I'll be waiting then, better come back big and strong. Come on Luffy, let's go, we're running late, yelled Garp. I'm coming, CYA Belmir, Luffy yelled. Belmir watched him sail off then went home and sat alone. This is going to be a long month waiting for those 3 feet, she thought. 1 year 10 months later. It was early in the morning and people in Fuchsia village were up early considering it's a very special day. On the horizon they could see a ship barely visible sailing towards the island. They might not be able to see it but they all knew whose ship it was.
Today was the day Luffy was setting off with the red-haired pirates to train and become a great pirate, assuming he was strong enough of course, but certain people like Makino knew that was just a thing to motivate the young raven-haired boy to train. Meanwhile in the mountains trees were being knocked down, rocks were being smashed, and in the middle of it wall was 2 people fighting each other. One made of water, the other one normal, using a pipe covered in a blackish aura and color. Mizu Mizu no whip, came out a battle cry. Gomu Gomu no bazooka, came another. Mizu Mizu no cannon, came out another, completely demolishing several trees and knocking out the other older black-haired boy. Damn Luffy. What the hell was that attack? Asked the older black-haired boy, coughing out a bit of blood.
She, that was a new move I came up with. What do ya think, Ace? Powerful, isn't it? Exclaimed Luffy while grinning madly. Yeah, it's powerful alright, Ace said while getting up. I am lucky I managed to dodge it. Only the impact got me. Seriously, you trying to kill me? Ace yelled out. She, yeah, sorry about that, got a bit too excited. So what's the score now? Asked Luffy. That makes it 51, 50 in your favor. Lucky bastard, if ya didn't have those powers you'd be done for, said Ace a little bit jokingly. Yeah, well, you're much older so it makes it fair, Luffy said while sticking his tongue out. Ace just chuckled. So today's the day, huh, Luffy? Ace asked, sadness present in his voice. Yeah, you know I can ask Shanks to bring you along, right? Luffy stated, hoping for Ace to accept. Yeah, I know, but hey, I only have 4 years left anyways, and I'd rather stay here for now, make sure everyone is safe till I leave. You go on ahead, you need the handicap anyway, Ace said while snickering. Hey, I do not, Luffy said while pouting. Well, I won't be seeing you off at the harbor. I'll just say farewell now. Get going, I see the ship approaching, Ace said while looking off the edge of the cliff. Luffy just stood there for a second, looking at the floor, then he walked forward and hugged Ace tightly, a hug which though he was surprised to receive but returned. Thank you, Luffy said, his voice breaking a little.
Be safe, Luffy, don't get into too much trouble, okay? Ace said, doing his best not to look sad and make it harder for Luffy.
Luffy stepped back from the hug and turned around to get ready to walk but stopped momentarily. Now go, Ace said, gently nudging Luffy forward. Luffy smiled at him and started running. After all, when Ace became a pirate he would meet him then. Luffy quickly went to say goodbye to Dayton and the bandits before running down to the mountains. Back at Fuchsia Village, Shanks and the crew were currently waiting for Luffy at the party bar. Shanks was busy catching up with Makino and everyone else were drinking themselves to death. Luffy then arrived outside the party bar. He heard the sound of singing and laughing and a bright smile spread across his face. It all felt so nostalgic. Luffy has grown a bit in these 2 years. He is now 158 centimeters and has lost all of his baby fat. He is still pretty scrawny but has some muscles on his arms. They don't look big but damn are they strong. Luffy slowly opened the door entering the bar. No one seemed to notice, they were all busy partying and such. He saw Shanks sitting at that exact seat he always sat and went and sat next to him. This obviously took Shanks by surprise as he looked to the right, seeing Luffy just appear next to him. Makino was also a little bit shocked. Just how into the conversation were they? Shanks took a good look at Luffy and grinned and side-hugged him. During all this everyone else stopped what they were doing and noticed Luffy being suffocated by Shanks. Well, look at you, you don't all babyish anymore, Shanks exclaimed. And you look even older than before, Luffy responded. Everyone in the bar save Shanks, who was now pissed, burst out laughing. Lots of catching up later, the red hair pirates were getting back on the ship, getting ready to sail. Luffy promised Makino he would visit after his training ended and hopped on the ship. When they set sail, Luffy noticed the bandits hiding behind a building. He just smiled and waved. About 4 minutes after Luffy set sail, they were far enough away to see a bit more of the island. When Luffy was looking at the island, he saw a figure standing on a cliff with his arms crossed. Luffy instantly recognized who it was and screamed, "By Ace." The figure then uncrossed his arms and waved. "Hey Luffy, who is that?" Shanks asked. "That's my big brother Ace," Luffy replied, grinning happily. "You're what?" Shanks and some of the others screamed. A few days later in the calm belt, "Keep on rowing everyone, we are nearly out," Shanks ordered. Shanks decided to go through calm belt since Luffy said he wanted to save it for his own adventure, or at least till he returns.
They had killed several sea kings so far and Luffy was busy stuffing his face, while crying for some god-forsaken reason.
"Bawa, I never tasted anything so good, Biwa," Luffy exclaimed while eating and crying. "That's seriously why he's crying," thought everyone. "Right Luffy, listen up now, we are entering the Grand Line, so it's best if I teach you some stuff about the sea."
Shanks went through a pretty thorough explanation of the Grand Line, how first half is paradise and second is the new world. Luffy surprisingly picked this all up like a vacuum, showing his determination. Enter the Drabbles. Drabble 1. The first month for Luffy was hell. All he did was study, no training at all. Shanks said that he had to learn a lot before he could start his training. So far Luffy had learned about Haki, the 6 powers, some navigation and some medicine. Luffy was currently in a makeshift classroom, which the crew made specially for him. He was learning proper manners and junk from Ben. So whenever you go to a restaurant, especially a fancy one, it's best to dress formally, don't be too loud and speak respectfully, Ben said, looking all strict and relaxed. Luffy just smashed his head on the table. Maybe this was a mistake. Drabble 2. Luffy was currently controlling the waves around the ship, or at the very least trying. Shanks said there is no point to having a hybrid fruit if he only mainly focuses on one power and is shit with the other. So he gave Luffy the task of moving the ship no matter how slow they go. He even folded up the sails.
Luffy at the start could barely make it flinch, but now he can make the Shi move at like 2 miles per hour, so there is some improvement, kinda. Turns out it takes a lot of physical strength to control large bits of water, so this was the best way to increase his strength for now anyways. Luffy was just glad he was finally training, though he still had classes to attend. Drabbled 3. It has been 3 years now since Luffy started his training. Luffy had grown to 165 centimeters and now had muscles that didn't look like small jelly beans. Shanks had become an Yonko as well. So far Luffy had learned things like gunmanship, navigation, basic to mediocre medicine, all his haki, not advanced, and the 6 powers. Today Shanks was taking him somewhere on an island in the New World. They stopped outside what looked like a blacksmith's hut.
Apparently this guy is an old friend of Shanks and he is so skilled he can make weapons just as good if not maybe better than the legendary ones that are sold for millions of berries.
Luffy and Shanks entered. "Yo Victor, it's your old pal Shanks," Shanks yelled out. A large man came around the corner. "Yo Shanks, been a long time, what brings you here?" Victor asked. "Well, you see, this scrawny kid over here is my student. I need you to make him 2 swords for me. I'll obviously pay you," Shanks said with a proud smile.
2 swords, huh? He Learnanor asked. Yep, he said it himself, Shanks stated.
"I see, what's your name, kid?" Victor asked. "My name is Monkey D. Luffy and I'm going to be king of the pirates," Luffy said, confidence booming in his voice. "King of pirates, EHH. Well, king deserves no less than the best swords. Where are you after then, kid?" Victor said while laughing. "Katanas, 2 of them," said Luffy. "Right, so you want to choose the material yourself?" Victor asked. Shanks was a bit shocked. Victor never let people choose the material for their sword ever. "Wait, really? Sure," Luffy said with starry eyes. Shanks and Victor just chuckled. After a few minutes of looking at materials, Luffy finally chose 1 for each sword. One was a crimson red metal, apparently really sturdy and also expensive, to which Shanks cried in despair. The other being a dark blue metal, also just as strong and sturdy and equally expensive. Safe to say Shanks regretted letting Luffy choose the metals. Victor told them to come back in a day, which they did. When they came back, boy did Shanks' jaw drop and Luffy's eyes turned into the biggest stars they ever had.
The first sword had a golden handle and a crimson black color sheath with what looked like a blue serpent drawing wrapped around it. When you took it out, it was completely crimson red and extremely sexy looking, as Shanks described it.
The second sword also had a golden handle, a dark blue sheath with a red serpent drawing wrapped around it. The blade itself was dark blue just like the metal. Victor said he called the crimson one Nether's Bane and the dark blue one Draft's Bane. After thanking Victor and Shanks paying the 500 million berries bill, they headed back to the ship, one with the brightest of smiles, other with the saddest of frowns. Drabble 4 Garp eventually did find out, and though Makino did tell him not to Santo Luffy, he still went to at least look for him and check his well-being. Luffy was now 15 and was moving the ship fairly easily with his Mizu powers now that he ain't so weak. Suddenly a marine ship appeared on the horizon, and from it jumped a large man from all the way over there and landed on the Red Force ship's name. Shanks and Ben instantly ran out to see what's wrong. Luffy also looked, and boy, his blood ran cold. Right there was standing Garp looking pissed. Shanks and Ben saw what happened and who it was and instantly got ready in case a fight was needed. "Don't bother, I am not here to fight," Garp said. He walked towards Luffy and hit him on the head, and hugged him very tightly. "Damn bastard, running away like that, hell is wrong with you," Garp said. Shanks let go of his grip on his sword and stood straight up. "And you damn red-haired bastard," Shanks flinched. "You're lucky I'm not on duty right now, or else I'd sink this ship right now," Shanks gulped. After Garp explained to Luffy he won't bother forcing him to be a marine anymore, and news about Ace being a super rookie, he wanted to test Luffy out, so they docked and started fighting. Luffy obviously got his ass beat hard, but hey, at least he ain't being told to be a marine. Garp left very soon after due to work that was easier than expected, thought Shanks, completely ignoring the giant pulp that was Luffy. Drabble 5 Luffy's 16th birthday was today. Luffy walked in and instantly, surprise! Everyone yelled. Luffy was shocked to say the least. They never threw parties before, why now? "Luffy, you are finally of age to drink, so let's party," Shanks yelled.
Just a reason to drink, Luffy thought. Well, why waste this? So Luffy went along ahead and started drinking.
Apparently being water helps with holding your drink. It ended with everyone passed out and Luffy still drinking to his heart's content. 1 year later, it was finally time to set off back to the East Blue. Luffy was currently saying goodbye to everyone. Hell, Shanks even cried a bit. Luffy now wore long black pants, a crimson red shirt folded to his elbows and top 3 buttons undone showing off a bit of his chest, his straw hat dangling off the back of neck, and black shoes. He had his swords to his right side, a pistol with a red grip on his left, and a New World log pose on his left arm. Luffy got on his new boat powered by his Mizu no Mi, courtesy of Ben, and waved one final goodbye before setting off at a pretty high speed. Shanks finally let his tears fall while his hair was covering his eyes and a smile adorning his face. "That kid is gonna be big someday," Ben said. "That he is," Shanks replied. At Crocus's lighthouse, Luffy dropped his boat at the lighthouse owned by Crocus, and socializing with the guy for a bit, making a new friend. He then heard about Laboon and his story of how he got left behind in his despair. Almost as if on cue, Laboon came out the water. Luffy, being Luffy, challenged him to a fight and called it a draw after purposely taking a blow. He drew his Jolly Roger on Laboon and promised when he is done with his journey they will continue their brawl then, and told him to stop hurting himself, therefore giving him hope. Crocus just smiled at the exchange. Luffy then used Geppo to go over Reverse Mountain and go to Fuchsia Village. At Fuchsia Village it was calm, everyone was enjoying the sunny day. Suddenly a person landed in the middle of town wearing a straw hat and started walking towards the party bar. Everyone was shocked since they all realized who it was. They started walking behind him and followed him. Luffy just chuckled and kept walking. He entered the party bar. "Welcome sir, how may I help you?" Tota. Sound of a bottle falling to the floor could be heard. "Yo, it has been a long time, huh Makino?" Luffy said calmly with a smile. Makino instantly ran into Luffy and hugged him. She had tears in her eyes. "I promised I'd come to visit before I started my journey, remember?" Luffy said, his voice cracking just a little bit. After Makino regained her composure, she stepped back and looked at Luffy. "You're so big and strong now," she said, pride dripping from her like cockiness from Donald Trump. Hee. "Yep, Shanks and the others trained me real hard, she. Luffy laughed while rubbing the back of his head. Suddenly the entire village started pouring into the bar, all admiring Luffy and his new appearance. Luffy ended up telling them stories of how he trained, which made some of them faint while the others went pale. Finally Luffy decided to stay the night and set off the next day. The next day Luffy took a small dinghy from one of the villagers and started using his powers to make it move. He promised everyone he would return after he became the Pirate King to visit at the least. Suddenly the same Sea King that took Shanks' arm rose from the sea. Luffy just turned towards it, laughed, and then Luffy suddenly disappeared and reappeared in front of it and hit it, knocking it out.
He then reappeared on his boat before waving to everyone one last time and using his powers to make a current to travel faster.
Now he had to gather a crew. He already knew some people he wanted, one being Usopp, son of Usopp, and the other being Nami. The rest he would figure out when he gets there. After a few minutes he realized, "I forgot to say hi to Dayton. Oh well, meet her when I am king. I did tell her that, to be fair," Luffy thought while chuckling one day after setting sail. It has been a day since the start of Luffy's adventure and he has somehow refrained from using his devil fruit abilities. He has set a challenge for himself to not use them in the East Blue. The only challenging part is waiting to find an island. Luffy was currently looking at a whirlpool a few feet away from him. Should probably do something, he thought. Luffy then sensed lots of people coming from a nearby ship and decided to use Geppo to get over there, abandoning his poor dinghy which got obliterated. Meanwhile on the cruise ship a pirate ship was coming into view. The flag belonged to that of Iron Mace Alvida, the self-proclaimed most beautiful woman on the seas. Everyone on the ship went into a panic. Seeing this, an orange-haired girl decided to take advantage of the situation and decided to steal all the pirates' treasure while they were busy with the cruise ship. She somehow changed from a dress into a blue shirt, black bandana and some brown pants, I think. As soon as the pirates started attacking the ship, the orange-haired girl sneaked onto their ship and started looking for treasure. She found the room with ease and is about to go in when... "Hey, who are you?" asked a random pirate. The girl jumped back in surprise. While the pirate was busy checking her out, she kicked him in the groin and proceeded into the treasure room.
Meanwhile back on the cruise. Well, if it isn't our favorite coward, what are you doing here hiding again?" a pirate asked a short pudgy boy with pink hair and glasses.
Hey, I was just pulling in this barrel I found floating on the sea," the boy replied in a scared voice. "Oh, let us take a look at it," the pirate said as he picked it up with his two buddies. "The hell, this is light as hell. What kid you trying to trick us?" said the pirate in a threatening tone. No, I swear I'm not," as he was pleading. A figure broke through the side of the ship. "Aw crap, gotta work on my landing," said the figure as he sat up, patting the dust off of himself.
"Who the hell are you?" yelled a pirate. "Oh yeah, sorry about that, my name is Monkey D. Luffy, who are you?" Luffy asked politely while knowing exactly what the hell was happening. "We're pirates, kid, and now you are a slave of Alvida-sama," said the pirate.
"Oh really?" said Luffy while smirking and folding his arms. "Yee, and while you're at it, why don't y'all give me those swords? I need new ones anyways," the pirate said as he lunged forward for them. He instantly got sent flying back and his two friends just fell down with wide eyes. "Like hell, I'd let you touch my katanas," said Luffy. Luffy then noticed the shocked pink-haired kid just standing there, mouth open and eyes wide. "Oh hey sup, what's your name?" Luffy asked. I'm Coby," said the pink-haired kid. "Well Coby, it's nice to meet you," Luffy exclaimed while grinning. "And nice to meet you too," Coby said, obviously nervous due to his trembling. "Oh, and don't worry, I won't hurt you. Say, do you know where I can find some food?" Luffy asked with a more comforting aura. After Luffy told Coby his dream and ambition, and after a bit of freaking out, Coby told him his dream of being a marine. Coby explained how he got captured and his backstory. Luffy took him to the deck where they encountered Alvida. "Well, you don't look like pirate hunter Zoro to me. What a disappointment," said Alvida. Luffy was shocked. To say the least, Luffy had seen some shit in his life, but this was by far the ugliest thing he had ever seen.
"Ah, Coby, I see you are rebelling. Tell you what, I'll let you redeem yourself. Now, who is the most beautiful woman on the seas?" asked Alvida.
Luffy nearly burst out laughing at this. Does this woman own a mirror? Well, to be fair, the mirror probably wasn't big enough, he thought, highly amused. Coby now had a choice. He could either say what he wanted to say, as Luffy told him a man should do, or just cower. "You are the ugliest whale on the seas, you bitch," Coby screamed out. This time Luffy did burst out laughing. That was just too funny. "You bastard, I'll kill you." She went to swing her mace at Coby when it suddenly shattered. In front of her was Luffy holding out his fist. "Nicely said, Coby. Now let me deal with this pig." Everyone was shocked. This guy just broke a mace without even trying. Alvida, at first shocked, got angry and went to attack Luffy when he punched her and sent her flying across the sea. Suddenly a few marine ships appeared shooting cannons. "Hey, all of you, give us a boat now," Luffy said, looking stoic. Everyone immediately agreed, not wanting to die, and did as he said. Luffy and Coby jumped on the boat and it dropped in the sea. Their boat landed next to another. On it, Luffy saw a girl with orange hair with a small bag with her. Luffy's eyes suddenly widened as he swore he remembered that hair. If he wasn't wrong, it was Nami. Then the boats went further apart from each other. Deciding to deal with it later, he just moved on. 4 hours later. "How much longer to Shell's Town, Coby?" Luffy asked. "Not much longer," Coby replied. "So Coby, who is this pirate hunter Zoro that Hag was talking about?" asked Luffy. Coby instantly freaked out and told him how he was known as a ruthless monster and was currently held captive at Shell's Town. "Monster, huh? TCH, guess I'll have to see that for myself," Luffy thought, remembering the kids from his own village. "Well, he sounds interesting. If he is a good guy, I'll let him join my crew," Luffy exclaimed while laughing. "What? No, listen, he is way too dangerous. You can't, he's a monster," Coby said, panicked by Luffy's statement. "Oh, and how do you know that? Have you met him? Or maybe you saw him being this so-called monster? People say he is," Luffy said, all of a sudden serious. "Well, Coby started but ended very quickly. "You haven't, have you? You just go off what you hear, not caring for what the actual truth is because you are too scared to find out. Let me tell you something, Coby. Not all pirates are bad and not all marines are good. The last thing you should do is judge someone by their given reputation, monster or saint," Luffy said in a very serious tone.
Coby just sat there shocked. His entire view was just changed. Luffy had not said a single wrong thing. The confidence in his voice when he was saying it showed him there was only truth to what he was saying.
"I see," said Coby, still lost in thought at Shell's Town. When they reached Shell's Town, they started walking towards the marine base. "Wonder if that Zoro guy is still here," Luffy said while picking his nose. Suddenly everyone around them jumped and ran while screaming. "Maybe we shouldn't say his name out loud, Luffy," Coby said, trembling. A little while later they saw a sign saying protected by Marine Captain Axe Hand Morgan. "So this place is protected by Axe Hand Morgan then?" Coby asked out loud. Suddenly everyone just flipped, some even climbed up walls. She. "Man, people here sure are funny," laughed Luffy. "That makes no sense. Why are they scared at Morgan's name?" asked Coby, confused.
"Who knows, maybe he's evil," Luffy said, still amused by the people hanging off walls. "What? And no, that's impossible," said Coby. "Is it? I mean, the Marines back at Alvida's ship shot with no concern for the passengers. What makes you think this guy can't be worse?" "Remember what I told you, Coby," said Luffy in a serious demeanor which lasted 5 seconds, and instantly Luffy started laughing at the guy who just fell off the building.
"Yeah, but still," Coby said in a somewhat weak voice. After a while, they arrived at the building and Luffy started climbing up the wall to look at Zoro. He saw a man stuck to a cross, bloodied and beaten a bit. He was wearing a black bandana, white shirt with blood on it, green haramaki and dark green pants. "Well, those ropes look easy to break to me, even for someone in the east," said Luffy, a little disappointed. Coby just raised an eyebrow at what Luffy said about the east, then realized that guy is Zoro. "Ah, wait, Luffy, please, he will kill you, I'm telling you to stop." "Forget it," Coby yelled, waving his arms around. Luffy decided to use his haki to sense Zoro's power. He was shocked, to say the least. He is more than strong enough to kill everyone here, but him and is just staying there. Then a girl jumped up the wall next to Luffy and went to Zoro. "Luffy, stop her," Coby screamed. "You stop her," Luffy replied. "What do you want, kid? Go away," said Zoro in a dangerous voice, though Luffy could not sense a single bad intention in him. "I thought you would be hungry, so I made you some rice balls by myself," the girl said. "Listen, I ain't hungry now, get lost, kid," said Zoro.
But now Zoro no one likes a bully, said another voice causing everyone to look at it. It was a pretty ugly blonde guy who looked like he wore makeup. He was Axe Hand Morgan's son Helmeppo.
Coby was relieved under the impression the girl is now safe. "Oh, some rice balls, I'll take those," Helmeppo said as he forcefully took them and started eating. He instantly spit them out and started yelling at the girl at how she used sugar instead of salt and proceeded to stomp on them. Coby was horrified to say the least. Marines should not act this way. But I worked so hard on that rice ball," said the girl as she started crying. "You know I should execute you for assisting a criminal, but I'm feeling nice. Hey soldier, throw her over the wall now," Helmeppo commanded. But sir, it's just a girl," said the soldier. "Are you defying me, soldier? Do you want me to tell my daddy?" said Helmeppo. "I'm sorry, just curl into a ball, okay," said the soldier as he picked her up and threw her. Luffy instantly appeared where she was landing and caught her. "Are you all right?" Luffy asked warmly. The girl nodded. "Okay, now run home, okay." The girl nodded again and hugged him before running back towards the town. Coby just looked at the exchange. There was a pirate acting more like a marine than the marine themselves. When Helmeppo and the guards left, Luffy went over to Zoro. "Who the hell are you?" barked Zoro in another fake angry voice. "You don't need to act that way, I know it's an act," Luffy said. "Oh, and what makes you think that? I have my ways."
Zoro then noticed Luffy's swords. They looked extremely well kept, cool and unique.
"You are a swordsman, I'm guessing," Zoro spoke up. "Not exactly, I'm skilled in multiple things. Hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, gunmanship and many other things," Luffy said. Zoro just smirked. Whoever this was, he was no normal person, that's for sure. "So why don't you just break out of there?" asked Luffy. "It was a deal, I had to survive a month, no food, no nothing. I have 10 days left," Zoro stated. "I see, so when do you take shits exactly?" Luffy asked, surprising Zoro. "We don't talk about that," Zoro said, looking the other way. "Anyways, how would you like to join my pirate crew?" Luffy asked. "What, and give up on life to become S?" Zoro retorted. "Oh, so do I look like some guy who plunders and rapes women to you?" Luffy asked sarcastically. "On my crew we don't do that. All you need is a dream and proper resolve. I won't ever stop anyone from chasing their dreams, even if it means I give up on my own," Luffy stated while crossing his arms and looking at Zoro with a serious expression. Zoro was to say the least taken aback by this. A pirate saying things like that shocked him to no end. "Oh, and what is this dream of yours?" Zoro asked, keeping his calm demeanor. "My dream, it is to be king of the pirates," Luffy said, his straw hat covering his eyes. "Oh, and what makes you think you can?" Zoro asked. "I don't think I can. I know I can," Luffy said, confidence all over his voice. He didn't sound the least bit cocky, just as if he was stating a fact. This caught Zoro off guard. He was not the least bit cocky, he just knew. "And what is your dream?" Luffy asked. "My dream, it is to be the world's greatest swordsman," stated Zoro, same amount of confidence if not more than Luffy. "Well, the king of the pirates wouldn't accept any less than the best," Luffy said.
Zoro smirked. Maybe this was a good opportunity for him. The man standing in front of him was not only confident in his own ambition, but cared for the ambition of his crewmates as well. He could tell from his voice he didn't lie once. "Fine, I'll join your crew, but you have to wait 10 days for me to be set free. I'm not losing this bet. Oh, and also if you get in the way of my ambition, I'll cut you down myself," Zoro said, smirking evilly at Luffy. Luffy just chuckled. "And before you go, can you pass me that rice ball?" Zoro said. "You sure you want to eat this? It is basically just dirt now," said Luffy. "Just give it." Luffy did as he was asked and fed him the rice ball. Zoro looked like he was about to throw up. "Hey, that girl Rika is her name. Tell her the rice ball was delicious." This made Luffy grin even wider. This guy was a badass with a heart of gold. Luffy just hit the jackpot. She sure see ya in 10 days, Luffy said as he walked away. Luffy then got Coby and headed back into town to find Rika. At a restaurant, Luffy and Coby found Rika pretty fast. Luffy's stomach is actually the reason they found her. Turns out her mother is actually the owner of the restaurant. Luffy told her how he ate her rice ball and said it was delicious. Rika was ecstatic at this and was jumping around. "Looks like Zoro might not be that bad after all," Coby said. "What, no big bro, Zoro is not bad at all. It's that stupid Helmeppo who is bad," Rika exclaimed. "Oh, what happened then, Rika? Why is Zoro tied up?" asked Luffy. Rika then explained how Helmeppo had a pet wolf who always broke things and how he was attacking her mom's restaurant. She told him how Zoro saved them by killing the wolf and got tied up so they don't get executed. Coby was awestruck. How can Marines be this bad? Luffy just gained a whole new level of respect for Zoro. Suddenly Helmeppo came barging in demanding free food and such. He also stated how he will kill Zoro just because he is bored and has nothing to do. This angered Luffy and he punched Helmeppo through multiple walls. He then got carried away by the Marines screaming how he would send his daddy after him.
I'm going to go free Zoro, Luffy exclaimed as he left with Coby running behind him telling him this was madness. At the base, "Oh, you again," said Zoro. "Come on, I'm freeing you," said Luffy, surprising Zoro. "Wait, I still have that." But Zoro was cut off by Luffy. "Helmeppo is not keeping the deal. He announced he is killing you tomorrow," shocking Zoro and angering him. Luffy asked him where his sword was. "My swords are in that base somewhere. I have 3 of them. I use Santoryu," said Zoro, pointing at the base with his head. "Right. Wait here, I'll be back," said Luffy. Is he going by himself, Zoro thought. Luffy later jumped up all the way to the top and landed on a statue of Morgan being lifted up, successfully breaking it. He saw Helmeppo took him and ran in the building. "Get that damn bastard now," Morgan yelled. Luffy dragged him across the floor, then picked him and asked, "Where are Zoro's swords?" "They're in my room. We just passed it," Helmeppo said, half dead. "Why didn't you say so?" Luffy said, ignoring how he dragged his face along the floor. Luffy threw Helmeppo away like a doll and ran back there. He saw a pink door with a heart and Helmeppo's name in it. What the fuck? As soon as he opened the door, he knew he had made a mistake. Never before has he fought something so dangerous. He would rather fight GARP. The room was bright pink with plushies and girly toys, and was that a makeup kit? "My eyes, they're burning, oh god," Luffy yelled in pain. Luffy then used his haki, found the swords and evacuated ASAP. He jumped out the window. When he opened his eyes in the air, he saw Coby and Zoro being held at gunpoint. "Rankyaku!" Luffy screamed as he cut all the guns the Marines had and landed in front of Coby and Zoro. What the hell?" Zoro screamed. "How did he do that with his leg?" Luffy then broke Zoro free and handed him his swords. Zoro immediately stopped the Marines about to attack Luffy. "Thanks, just doing my job, Captain. I see you must have eaten a devil fruit, that is HGAN exclaimed. "What? Nah, it's actually a Marine technique, but you aren't relevant enough to be told that obviously," said Luffy. "Marine technique?" Zoro thought, confused, and decided to ask him about it later. "The hell did you say? First I'm a Marine captain, how dare you?" Morgan yelled, enraged. "So, not like you or some vice admiral I actually need to worry about," Luffy said while smirking. "Bastard," Morgan yelled, but everyone stopped due to a scream elsewhere. Helmeppo was holding Coby hostage with a gun and a giant lump on his head. "Surrender or he dies." "Don't worry about me, I don't care if I die," Coby yelled. "I see, well you heard him, he doesn't care," Luffy said as he appeared in front of Helmeppo and knocked him out. Pro tip. Next time take the safety off, Luffy said while laughing like an idiot. Zoro was shocked. He just disappeared and reappeared how? He then saw Morgan charging Luffy and intercepted him. "Onigiri." Just like that, Zoro beat Morgan. "Nice job, Zoro," yelled Luffy. "Thanks," Zoro replied and immediately fell unconscious due to starvation. All the Marines celebrated and threw their swords away at the tyrant's defeat. Back at the restaurant, Luffy and Zoro were eating to their heart's content, courtesy of Rika's mother. "Man, I'm stuffed," Zoro said, patting his stomach. "Yeah, me too," said Luffy. Even though he was only like 50% stuffed, he did not want to be rude. "Hey, how am I the one who was starved and you ate twice the amount I did?" Zoro asked, looking badass in his new clothes which look exactly like his old ones just without the blood and stink. "It is both a gift and a curse," Luffy said in an old man voice. "Wow, you are so strong, big bro Luffy, and you too, big bro Zoro," Rika exclaimed. "He thanks Rika," Luffy exclaimed. "So next step is to find more members since right now it's just us," Luffy said. "Course it's only us," Zoro deadpanned. "But hey, I already have 2 of our members planned out and who they are gonna be, so that's something." "Oh, and who are they?" Zoro asked, interested. "Well, first is a navigator, her name is Nami, I have to convince her to join when I meet her. And second is Usopp, a marksman, I have to convince him too." "So you just found some people you don't even know and are gonna force them?" Zoro deadpanned. Why did he expect something more out of this guy? "Hey, I know their parents, so that's something," Luffy pouted like a child. Zoro just looked at him, pouting, and sweat dropped. "This is the next Pirate King? Wait, so you know their parents but not them?" "Yup," Luffy said, nodding his head furiously. "But don't tell them that, okay? It will be a surprise for just before we enter the Grand Line." Okay then, assuming you can make them join first." "Oh, don't worry about that," Luffy said with a very evil face. Zoro just started feeling pity for those 2 souls. Coby then woke up from his nap. "Oh hey guys," just then the Marines came in. "Excuse me, but you 2 are pirates, correct?" Luffy and Zoro nodded. "Well, I'm sorry, but we have to ask you to leave regardless of your actions here today," the Marine said. "Meh, it's fine, would feel wrong if we weren't told to leave honestly," Luffy said. Zoro snickered as they started to walk out. "Wait, isn't he with you?" the Marine asked, referring to Coby. "Oh, him nah, but hey, I'll tell you something about his past." Coby was horrified at this. "You see, he spent 2 years at this fat stupid whale ship. Her name was, I think, Al-Oof," Luffy said as he got punched. "Stop," Coby screamed, feeling betrayed. "You little bastard," Luffy said as he punched him back, taking the wind out of him. "Okay, that is enough. It is clear he is not with you now, please leave," said the Marine, all knowing the act that just happened. Luffy and Zoro left. "He did that for me," Coby thought, eyes filling with tears. At the docks, "This is our ship?" Zoro asked. "Yep, but don't worry, we will have a big one soon," Luffy exclaimed. They got on and set the sail. "That was quite the act you put up back there. Nice work," Zoro said. "Thanks, Luffy," Coby screamed, causing Luffy and Zoro to look at him. He saluted them and said thank you. Behind him, all the other Marines started saluting them as well. "Marines saluting pirates, now I've seen everything," Zoro said. Luffy just laughed at this and waved back after a while. "Well, Zoro, since you are the first mate, I think I should tell you something." Zoro looked at Luffy and saw him holding his swords and gun. He grinned since he had a hunch what came next. "Well, Zoro," Luffy began, "you are my first mate, so I think there is something that you should know about me." Luffy picked up his swords and his pistol and placed them in between himself and Zoro. Zoro sat up a bit now, paying full attention to his new captain. "Now where do you think I got my weapons from?" Luffy questioned the green-haired swordsman. "Well, they certainly do not look like some weapons you would find just in some shop around here. The quality is way too good, and I have not even seen them unsheathed yet," Zoro said before his eyebrows rose. "You aren't from around here, are you?" Zoro asked. "Well, yes and no," Luffy answered back, making the already confused swordsman get even more confused. "Well, might as well explain it to you properly," Luffy sighed. "I left the East Blue at the age of 9 with a pirate named red-haired Shanks. He is a good friend of mine and took me with him after I begged him to do so for a full-on year." Zoro's eyebrows practically left his face from that. "A whole damn year?" "Basically, I trained with him in the Grand Line for the past 8 years. I got my weapons from there as well," Luffy stated. "Then why bother coming back here? Surely getting crew member from the Grand Line would be easier," Zoro questioned. "Well, firstly, I still want Usopp and Nami to join, and secondly, I dunno. Seems like a good idea now that you mention it," Luffy said with a face that screamed out, "I am retarded." Zoro deadpanned. "How do you practically plan out your adventure but miss something as easy as that? So how much of a difference in power is there, you know, from here and from the Grand Line?" Zoro asked, wondering how far off he was from his dream. "Oh well, not to burst your bubble or anything, but it's like the Earth's core to the moon," Luffy said, shocking Zoro. What? That is bullshit. No way is the difference that far," Zoro yelled out, completely frustrated. Hey, calm down. Once we get there you will get stronger much faster. You are mostly going up against weaklings right now," Luffy said, trying to calm the angry swordsman down. "TCH, so got an example of this big gap in strength?" Zoro asked. "Well, Shanks once accidentally cut a mountain in half while playing with my swords," Luffy said. Zoro froze. He could not even cut metal, and this Shanks person did that while playing. He's not even the world's greatest? After a very awkward 5 minutes of silence, Zoro spoke up. "So how strong are you?" Zoro asked, finally composing himself. "Well, the Grand Line has 2 halves. As strong as I am right now, I couldn't survive a single fight in the second half, and I would have some trouble, depending on the person in the first half. Mainly cause I spent most of my time studying," Luffy said, slightly disappointed. Zoro looked at him, sensing zero signs of bullshit. He sighed heavily. Who knew he was this far from the greatest? "Would I survive in the first half of the Grand Line?" Zoro asked. "Yeah, as long as you do not fight most of the big boys you would be fine from what I can sense," Luffy said, making Zoro happier. In his happiness of not being a complete load of shit, he missed the part where Luffy said sensed. "Hey, also, what was that thing you did with your leg back at the base?" Zoro questioned, the thing popping into his mind now. "Oh, that it is a special marine move. There are 6 of them in total, with a 7th one as a bonus for those who master them all. I will explain it when we get into the Grand Line. I will teach you guys too, so don't worry," Luffy said, making Zoro grin like an idiot. If he could use these moves, his strength would increase a lot. "You said marine moves, wah, but he got cut off. Damn it, Zoro, stop being a question mark. I will properly explain this another time," Luffy said, finally annoyed and gaining a shit ton of respect for Ben and him dealing with his stupid ass. "Teaching is hard, man." "Fine," Zoro muttered before he headed off back to sleep. One day later, Luffy and Zoro were basically starving at this point. They could not move at all. Well, until Luffy saw a bird and jumped up to grab it. Somehow he got stuck in the bird's beak, mouth thing. "Zoro!" Luffy yelled out for help, completely forgetting he can hit the bird and jump down.
"Idiot!" Zoro screamed as he started rowing in his direction.
A little while later, an orange-haired girl was running from 3 men. "Damn it, they're catching up to me," the girl thought while running as fast as possible. "If I can just steal this map, ICA," but her thoughts were interrupted as something fell behind her between herself and the 3 men. Luffy's paw. Luffy has been stuck in this stupid damn bird thing for ages now, and he still has not hit it to get down. Suddenly a cannonball came flying at the bird, hitting it square in the gut. Luffy then fell from a few 100 feet and fell splat on the floor, making a dust cloud. Phew, thought I was never gonna get out of there, he said while patting the dust off of him and readjusting his hat so it hung at the back of his neck. Luffy looked forward and saw the same orange-haired girl from Alvida's ship, his eyes widened. That has to be Nami, he thought, eyes slightly wide. He sensed 3 large men behind him as well but deemed them irrelevant. Oh hey, boss, thanks for coming to save me, Nami exclaimed as she pat Luffy on the shoulder and ran. Luffy just sweat dropped, she is more of a pirate than I am. Hey, the girl is getting away, said one guy. Who cares, we have her boss right here, said the other while hitting Luffy's hat off of his head. Luffy got pissed at that and knocked all 3 of them out in the most brutal non-lethal way he could think of. He then caught his hat in the air and put it on his head. Don't touch my hat, you bastards. Wow, you're strong. You didn't even use your weapon, yelled Nami from on top of the house. How she got there so fast nobody knows. And you're the girl that set me up, said Luffy, deciding to play along. Oh come on, I saw your weapons and knew you could handle them. I mean, no regular person has swords that cool, Nami said as she made her way down to him. Then why did you run away instead of asking insurance? Nami grinned. Luffy deadpanned. So you are strong and all you want to join me. I steal from pirates. So you're a thief? No, I only steal from pirates, Nami said.
That is still a thief, Luffy thought. How did Belmir's daughter end up a thief anyways?
Well, I'll pass, said Luffy as he started walking away. Nami was shocked. He just said no to her. She dipped a bit to show her cleavage and everything and he did not even pay attention to that. She really wanted him now. Someone this non-perverted is hard to come by. Hey wait, come on, I'll get you something to eat as well. At least think about it, Nami yelled, running after him. Luffy instantly stopped and realized he's starving. He then realized free food. Luffy instantly turned around, a giant grin on his face, and said, sure, let's go. As he started marching backwards, Nami's sweat dropped. That was fast, and also where the hell is he going? Luffy then stopped. Sue, where is the food? He said with a stupid face that honestly looked kind of cute. Nami wanted to burst out laughing but kept it in as she led him to a house.
After a lot of food, Nami told Luffy about what she does in more detail, including why she was being chased and that she is a navigator.
Luffy smirked as soon as she told him that and said, you can navigate? You should join my crew then? Nami's face brightened up loads. Really? She, yeah, it's a pirate crew. Nami's face instantly had a visit by the Grim Reaper and lost all its happiness. Did you just say, pirate? Nami said with her bangs covering her eyes.
Luffy instantly sensed anger and sorrow coming from her but kept up his idiotic grinning.
Yeah, never, I'd rather die, Nami yelled out, angry. Luffy cocked an eyebrow. He knew she won't be ecstatic about it at first, but this was overboard. Why not? Luffy said, obviously sad. None of your damn business, pirate, Nami screamed. In fact, forget we ever had this conversation. Luffy, not wanting to give up so easily, then proposed a let's make a deal, Luffy said, gaining Nami's attention. I will help you out with Buggy and his crew, and by the end, you can decide whether I am the trash you make me out to be, or if you want to accept my offer, you can even keep all the treasure. Nami looked baffled at this. A pirate sharing his treasure, it must be a trap. Then she looked at him properly. He was wearing a crimson-red shirt with the top 3 buttons open, exposing a hard-built chest, and black pants with 2 expensive-looking swords at his right and a gun to his left. He was wearing a straw hat for some reason as well. He looked dangerous. Until you look at the idiotic grin on his face and the fact that he acted like a total dumbass the entire time she was getting him food. Is he dangerous or not? Oh, you like what you see? Luffy asked while smirking, fully knowing she was only trying to judge his character. What? No, was just thinking, dumbass, she screamed, face red from embarrassment. She, I know, I was only joking, and just like that he went from cool to a total idiot again. Nami blinked, and what's with that chuckle, she came to the conclusion that this guy is a very dangerous idiot and accepted his offer. A little while later, Nami came up with a plan involving Luffy to be tied up with rope and act as hostage. Luffy quickly dumped it, though claiming it was not going to work with how much he knows about Buggy courtesy of Shanks, but he did not tell her that. Well, what do we do then? Nami yelled. For now let's just go and walk around, have a talk and stuff. Nami deadpanned this guy trying to ask her out, or is he actually serious? That way my crewmate will be here by then, Luffy finished. Ah, that makes more sense, Nami thought. Okay then. A while later, Luffy sensed Zoro and started walking in his direction with Nami. Hey Zoro, Luffy yelled when he saw the swordsman. Wait, Zoro, as in the pirate hunter, Nami thought, shocked. Hey Luffy, there you are finally, Zoro replied. Who is this? He asked. Oh, this is Nami, our navigator. Nami's brain clicked on at that. I'm not your navigator, she roared. Right, she isn't our navigator, yet, Luffy said with that evil smirk of his, sending chills down Zoro's spine. So your crewmate is the pirate hunter? Nami asked, remembering his name. Ex-pirate hunter, Zoro corrected. Yeah, what, that not normal? Luffy asked, completely oblivious to his current stupidity. No, it isn't, dumbass, thought Zoro and Nami. Well, whatever, come on Zoro, we'll explain to you on the way, Luffy said as he started walking. After a while of walking and Luffy filling in Zoro, they encountered a pet food store with a dog in front of it. "Ooh doggy," Luffy yelled in childlike excitement as his mature personality vanished and he started playing with the dog. Zoro and Nami just stood there gobsmacked at what the hell was happening. "Hey, stop annoying Shoo Shoo," came a yell from behind them. An old person walked on forward with some pet food in a bowl. "Hey, who are you, old man?" Zoro asked. "I'm the mayor of this town. My name is Boodle," he said while readjusting his glasses. "I see, and what's with all the wooden armor?" Luffy asked. "It's for protection against those damn pirates," Boodle said while placing the bowl of food in front of Shoo Shoo. "Hell is wooden armor gonna do?" thought Nami. "So what's with this doggy?" Luffy asked, still not talking maturely. "Hell's with this guy, one second he's mature, the next he's a child," Nami thought, deeply confused. As for Zoro, who had already been traumatized by Luffy's bullshit, he just ignored it. Mayor Boodle then went on to tell the entire story of how Shoo Shoo's owner passed away and the store is his only treasure and he refuses to leave it. "Poor doggy," Luffy mumbled. "Sad for the dog. And it does not help with those damn pirates shooting cannonballs like toys either," Boodle yelled. "Oh, and what are you gonna do about it, old man?" came a voice behind them and also higher. There was a man who looked like he had animal fur and ears and a very hairy, furry chest was sitting on a giant lion. "Beast tamer Moji," Boodle said, shaking in fear. "Yeah, it's me, so tell me, what are you gonna do?" Moji said, trying to act all hard.
Mayor Boodle, assessing the situation, took Nami's arm and ran away from the location, dragging her along and hiding behind a building.
"Hey, let me go," Nami exclaimed. "Sorry girl, but I can't let you get hurt like that," he said as he started watching Zoro and Luffy. "Well, I think I'll just take some stuff from this store then, Richie is hungry." "Both of you get lost," he said as Richie swiped both Zoro and Luffy away like flies with his paws. Luffy stopped himself mid-flight and reappeared on top of a building while Zoro got smashed into a house that then proceeded to collapse on him. Both Nami and Boodle ran to check on Zoro and Luffy to see if they were still alive. Luffy appeared in front of Moji as he was attacking Shoo Shoo with Richie. What the hell? I thought you died, how did you get over here?" Moji screamed, clearly shocked. Luffy's hat was covering his eyes as he looked behind him and saw the badly injured Shoo Shoo trying to get back up. Luffy looked back towards Moji, utterly furious. Whatever, Richie, attack him. Richie went to attack when suddenly Luffy looked up at them. To them, it felt like they were facing death itself. Luffy appeared on top of Richie and punched Moji off, sending him flying. He then, while still in the air, took a hold of Richie and flipped him over himself as he smashed him into the ground. He then landed and punched Richie again, sending him flying into Moji, who was standing up. Luffy appeared in front of them, picked up Moji and he said, "PP please, IMSS sorry." Luffy just ignored him and punched him one last time into the ground, cracking it and knocking him out. Luffy made sure to control his power as to not kill the bastard even though he wanted to. He then made his way over to Shoo Shoo, sitting down next to him. Meanwhile, Nami and Boodle finally made it to the rubble of the house. Zoro suddenly stood up from it without even a scratch on him. "Damn it, Luffy didn't bother saving me," Zoro groaned. How are you still alive?" Nami said. "Huh, what do you mean? You just survived all that. That is not normal," Zoro smirked. "To be strong you have to be more than just normal." Nami blinked, then realized. "Where is Luffy?" "Oh, he recovered halfway through the flight and landed on a house," Zoro said, nonchalantly, learning to deal with Luffy's disappearing bullshit now. "What? Yeah right, you sure you didn't just hit your head?" Nami said, not buying it. "Believe what you want, I'm going back to Luffy," Zoro said. "Hey wait, how can you be so sure?" Zoro stopped and said, "The last thing you ever want to do is underestimate my captain. He may act retarded but his strength is not a joke," while looking at Nami over his shoulder. Nami stood there for a second, then started moving again. "Yeah right, as if he could stand up to a fish man," Nami thought. After making it there with Zoro, Nami and Boodle saw shocked them to no end. Cue that really good ost from the anime. The beast tamer and his lion were knocked out cold far off from the store, covered in blood. Luffy was sitting down next to an injured Shoo Shoo and then he started talking. "You know, I didn't see your fight, but I can tell you did the best you could to protect your treasure from those bastards. The injuries you have now are proof of that." Zoro was standing there looking at his captain. He remembered how he told him he respects his friend's dreams and treasures and would be willing to give up his own for them. If he didn't believe him, then he sure as hell does now. He also gained a lot of respect for him. Nami was standing next to Zoro, her bangs covering her eyes and her mouth parted. This one person not only beat that stupid beast tamer but also only did it so he could protect that dog's treasure. She remembered how she judged him straight off the bat as a ruthless piece of trash just because he was a pirate. She now had an entirely changed opinion, and some of his words will help you out with Buggy and his crew, and by the end you can decide whether I am the trash you make me out to be. Boodle was about to faint from the shock. A random kid just appeared and saved the pet store. And all for Shushu as well. The dog he barely even knows. Ye can't be screwed writing one for this guy. Oh hey guys, you're back, Luffy said, instantly losing his serious and wise demeanor. Everyone was snapped out of their thoughts at Luffy's sudden welcome back. Oh yeah we are, said Boodle, closing his dropped jaw. Geez damn Luffy, couldn't you have saved me from crashing into that building too? Zoro said, faking irritation. Ooh yeah, you got hit too so's, Luffy replied, looking completely clueless. Zoro's sweat dropped. Hey, how did you beat that giant lion? You don't have a scratch on you, asked Nami, partly suspicious if he is indeed the one who beat him. Oh, that the lion was weak as hell, she, Luffy said before standing up. Weak, is he serious? Nami thought. Hey old guy, Shushu is injured, you got something to fix him up? Asked Luffy, patting the dirt off of him. Oh yeah, I'll go get it, after Shushu got fixed up. Luffy, Zoro and Nami set off towards Buggy's base after Luffy knocked out the mayor since he was going to get himself killed. Luffy was dragging the lion and Moji as well, scaring the shit out of Nami. When they finally made it, Luffy picked up the lion and threw it at their rooftop base along with Moji, making Zoro smirk at that display of strength and make Nami jaw drop. How the hell, Nami thought. Turns out they were loading up the cannon, getting ready to fire, and the impact of it made the cannon fire into the building, completely turning it into rubble. A guy on a unicycle and a guy that looked like a clown literally stepped out the rubble using Richie as a shield. Which flashy bastard decided to do that? The clown yelled. I think it may have been one of those three, Captain Buggy, answered the guy on his unicycle. Ah yes, those bastards. Buggy then noticed the three swords on Zoro's waist. Wait a minute, you are Roronoa Zoro, aren't you? Buggy said, more as a fact than a statement, while pointing at Zoro. So what if I am? Zoro replied. I assume you have come for my head then. What, nah, I'm here cause my captain is, Zoro said. Captain? Buggy then finally noticed the man in the fancy badass-like attire. He saw his two swords, which looked extremely expensive and rare, and his gun. What interested him most, however, was the straw hat covering his eyes. Oh, so you're his captain then? What are you all, a gang of thieves? Buggy asked while laughing. We're pirates, Luffy answered in a cold and threatening voice, shocking both Zoro and Nami since they have never heard that voice come out of him before. How can someone so cheerful have such a threatening voice, both thought. Buggy nearly shit his pants. Whoever this guy was sounded intense. Allow me to fight Roronoa, Captain, the guy on the unicycle said. Sure Kabaji, go ahead, show them who they're messing with. Nami, it is best if you just go and take their treasure now, Luffy said in a quiet voice to Nami. Yeah, I'll leave you, kid. Ha, looks like one already ran away, said Kabaji. I would be more concerned about myself if I was you, said Zoro, unsheathing two of his swords. Zoro versus Kabaji. Kabaji charged Zoro on his unicycle and clashed swords with him. Zoro was handling it fairly easily and was about to push Kabaji back and attack when Kabaji suddenly went back and put something in his mouth, making fire spit out on Zoro. Zoro, jumping back from the fire with a minor burn, pulled out his third sword and put it in his mouth. Give up, Roronoa, you can't beat me no matter how hard you try, mocked Kabaji. TCH, the only reason you're still standing is because of your parlor tricks, I'll end this now. Kabaji then started charging at him angrily while Zoro stood there and Onigiri. Just like that, Kabaji fell midway through his charge and Zoro was standing behind him sheathing his swords. Zoro versus Kabaji winner. Zoro. Buggy was enraged, clearly not happy his second mate was so easily disposed of. Hey, Luffy, you want me to deal with him too? Zoro asked. No, it's fine, I'll handle Red Nose by myself, Luffy replied, making Zoro snicker at the Red Nose remark. Right then, wake me up when you're done, said Zoro as he went and leaned on a house and fell asleep. Buggy was now fuming. What did you just say about my nose? Buggy yelled, but instantly getting punched and being sent flying back. Hush, will you, my crewmate is trying to sleep, Luffy joked while walking over towards him. Shanks told me about you. He said you were a good friend of his. I honestly expected more from you, Luffy said, disappointed. Shanks. You know that bastard? Yeah, he gave me my hat after all. It's my treasure. That bastard giving away the captain's hat to some random idiot. Oh, did he now? Buggy said, smirking evilly. Nami had stolen the treasure after tricking some drunk idiot and was hiding behind a building. Looks like they're fighting best to stay out of sight. Buggy then split his body into lots of pieces, shocking Nami. Well then, I guess you know about my chop devil fruit too, don't you? Asked Buggy, evil smirk still in place. Devil fruits? I thought they were a myth. Buggy then charged Luffy with all his upper body parts. Luffy, getting careless, did not bother to use his haki, and then the string of his straw hat broke, sending the straw hat back away from Luffy. Then Buggy's hands holding three knives came and pierced through the hat, shocking Luffy. Buggy then reformed and laughed. Well, if you call this worthless piece of crap your treasure, you should take better care of it, he said while stepping on the hat. Luffy got mad, very mad. You damn bastard, don't touch my treasure. Zoro instantly woke up from his nap and ran in the direction of the voice trying to find out what's happening. Luffy instantly appeared in front of Buggy, shocking both him and Nami, and hit Bug so hard in the chest he heard a crack and sent him flying into the building, successfully knocking him out. Nami was scared, very scared. This man just did something she had never seen before, and that voice that just came out of him didn't even sound human. Luffy then went to his hat and picked it up. It had the big cuts on the top of it. Luffy noticed Nami walking up behind him. Hey, you okay? She asked, coming up behind him still scared. Luffy, realizing how much he scared her, turned to her and said, "Oh yeah, sorry if I scared you there." Nami just said it's fine, noticing how he was trying to comfort her when he was clearly the person in need of comforting. Luffy then walked over to Buggy. He saw that he had split apart while in flight and got half his parts, put them into a bag and threw them very far off the island and connected the other parts, making a miniature Buggy that made Nami burst out laughing looking at him and dropkicked him somewhere else. "Wow, you kick far," Nami said, watching how Buggy disappeared from sight. "Yay, it's up practice?" Luffy asked, more than said. "Say Luffy, that hat means a lot to you, doesn't it?" "Yeah, it's my treasure. I promised the man who gave it to me that I would achieve my dream and become king of the pirates," Luffy replied, holding his hat in his hand and looking at it. He then turned away and Nami swore she saw a tear go down his cheek, hence why he turned away. "I could fix your hat for you if you want," Nami said, trying to help but also wary he won't get angry at her for trying to touch his hat. Luffy's face turned into one of shock and he turned around. "Really?" "Yeah, assuming you don't punt me away like you did, Buggy," Nami joked, making Luffy chuckle. "I won't," Luffy said before walking a bit and carrying Nami's bag of treasure for her. "Oh, and thank you," Luffy said, his hat shading his eyes. "No problem," Nami said. "So you want to join me then, Nami?" Nami blinked. She completely forgot about that. He never even acted like a pirate, she just forgot. After giving it some thought, Nami said, "Fine, but only as a temporary partnership," fuckled and accepted, knowing she'll come around eventually, probably when he gets Belmir's help. Zoro then appeared. "Hey, what was that demonic voice?" Nami just pointed to Luffy and Zoro said, "Oh." The rest of the villagers then appeared with a knocked out mare and asked them if they did it and if they're pirates. Luffy, being the honest idiot he is, said yes to everything, making Zoro nearly bawl his eyes out because of laughter and Nami yell at him, ending up with them running away and being saved by Shushu in an alleyway. At the docks, "This is your ship?" Nami asked, looking at the small boat, clearly unimpressed but unsurprised as well. "Yep, and I'm guessing that is yours," Zoro said, pointing to the ship next to it, which was a little bit bigger. "Yep, stole it off 3 idiots earlier today," Nami said. As if on cue, the 3 idiots jumped out the boat trying to threaten Nami, until they saw Zoro and crapped their pants and ran away. "Hey, do we have another sail? I don't like wearing Buggy's mark," Luffy said. "Sadly no," Nami replied. Luffy, Zoro and Nami then got on the boats and tied them together via a rope. Luffy left one of the emptied half the bags of gold and left it at the docks sneakily so the villagers can rebuild. After sailing for a bit, Boodle appeared at the docks and started thanking them while crying, to which the 3 pirates responded to by waving. "Say Luffy," Nami said in a very sweet voice. "Yeah, Nami, do you by any chance know why half my gold is missing, Captain?" About that, I left half of it for the villagers to rebuild the village," Luffy replied, scared for his life. I see," Nami replied. Just then the sweet face of an angel changed into that of a demon and she hit Luffy straight in the head, actually hurting him to Luffy's shock, and then proceeding to bury his face in the ocean, which although may not affect him, he still acted that it did anyway so to not arouse suspicion. He didn't want to tell them about his devil fruit till the Grand Line. Zoro just watched astonished as a man from the fucking Grand Line got his ass handed to him by some woman and was now on his knees apologizing. Later at night, "There you go, Luffy," said Nami as she handed his hat back to him after repairing it. Luffy watched her do the whole process just to be safe. It's not that he didn't trust Belmir and her teaching skills, it's that he didn't trust Nami and her learning skills. "Wow, thanks a lot, Nami, it looks as good as new," Luffy practically yelled. Luffy was currently on Nami's ship. "Well, I wouldn't say that it still has 3 lines on the top, just sealed," Nami said, obviously flattered. She, well, that can just be a memory then, of the time you fixed my hat," replied Luffy, oblivious to the now embarrassed girl. "Well, I'll go head off to sleep now, Nami, good night," said Luffy while walking off and jumping to his boat. Yeah, night," replied Nami. A little while later, Nami was in the boat's room thinking about what to do. She can't get too attached to them or else she may never be able to leave again. Counting the 5 million she just got, she is now on 82 million berries. Unless she can get the 100 million before getting to the Grand Line with them, she has to leave soon. "I just want to be free, Gen-san." Belmir Nami then heard Zoro and Luffy talking courtesy of her open window. "They're still awake. Damn it, Luffy, why the hell you so happy?" Zoro asked the madly grinning idiot. "Why wouldn't I be happy, Zoro? We just got a new nakama," Luffy said while laughing a bit as well. In truth, he was happy that not only did he get a new nakama but he would meet Belmir soon as well. He couldn't wait. Nami's eyes suddenly went wide. She closed her window and sat down on the small bed. "En nakama?" she said as tears started falling from her eyes. 2 days after setting off, the ocean was calm with a small wind flowing over it. In the middle of it, 2 small boats could be seen sailing slowly. The peace being disrupted by 2 people yelling their hearts out. "You idiot! What are we going to do without any food?" Nami yelled, her arms stretched out and her facial features looking similar to that of a demon. "I was hungry, okay? I haven't had a proper meal for ages," Luffy yelled back while having a needle plunged into his forehead. "OWWW, why did you do that?" Luffy asked, rubbing the blood off his forehead. "Punches don't affect you, so what else am I supposed to do?" Nami screamed in response while putting the needle away. "Oh, that makes sense," Luffy replied, pursing his lips and fisting his palm. "Damn it, can't a guy sleep around here?" Zoro said in a sleepy voice, standing up and yawning. "What are you yelling about anyway?" Zoro asked Nami, who turned to him and pointed at the giant empty box of food. "Oh, that's normal," Zoro said, turning his back to Nami and going to take a seat near the edge of the boat. "Wah, what do you mean that's normal?" Nami yelled, her arms at her sides and hands curled into fists. "Well, I've only been with him for a few days and I can confirm, he's a pig," Zoro said, staring at the clouds. Nami stood there gobsmacked, the familiar sound of she snapping her out of her daze. "He's right, you know, everyone has always told me I eat like a pig," Luffy said while chuckling, grinning and rubbing the back of his head. Nami just gave up and sat down. "Honestly, you both underestimate the sea." "Hey, I see something," said Zoro, sticking his head over the boat. Luffy instantly appeared next to Zoro, scaring him so bad he somehow fell off the boat into the ocean. Nami looked at the swordsman struggling to get back to the boat, strangely amused. "Island!" Luffy screamed out while jumping up and down. At the island, Luffy and Nami walked towards the jungle. Zoro fell asleep before they made it to the island, so they just left him there. "Luffy, why are we even here? It's just a bunch of trees. I doubt anyone even lives here," Nami said, walking behind Luffy. "Nami, it's simple. The reason we are here is adventure," Luffy replied. Nami was going to yell but realized that the only thing that can beat an idiot in an argument is another idiot, and stayed silent. Just then a half-fox half-chicken hybrid appeared in front of them. "Kya, what is that?" Nami yelled, jumping back. Luffy looked at it for a second, then punched his palm. "It's a chicken," Luffy said with the most serious face he could make. "No, it's not," Nami yelled, but this time with a demonic appearance. "The thing ran away. Oh, it's gone," Luffy said. Just then they heard a voice. "Do not come closer, get out," said an ominous voice. "What was that sound?" Luffy asked, knowing full well what's happening thanks to his observation haki. "Who's there?" Nami asked, panicked. "Me. I am the guardian of the forest." "The forest guardian?" Nami asked, confused. "Yes. If you still wish to live, leave this place. You're pirates, aren't you?" "Yes," Luffy replied instantly, almost as if he was ready for it.
Why did he ask that? Nami wondered out loud. "So you are pirates. Leave now or else you will face the forest judgment."
"Who cares?" Luffy said, looking unhappy. "What is that?" Nami asked.
"What a weird guy," Luffy said. "Hey boy with the straw hat, what did you just say?"
"Where are you? Come out," Nami said while punching the air in a boxing type of form. "Receive the forest judgment." Suddenly a gunshot could be heard. Luffy's eyes instantly hardened and he moved his hand to the side of his head, catching the bullet and continuing to glare in that direction.
Nami stood there shocked. Did he just catch a bullet?
"Hey, are you okay?" Nami asked, a little bit scared seeing the idiot so serious. Within a few seconds he turned back to normal with his roundish eyes. "Oh yeah, I am fine," Luffy said, acting like nothing happened. "What are you?" "That's our line," Luffy said. "Hey look, it's a pistol," Nami said, pointing to the handgun next to the chest with a bush on it. "What is this thing?" Nami asked, inspecting the bush chest thing.
Suddenly it started running away, and tripped 3 meters later.
A man's head popped out of it. "Wow, it's a man," Nami said. "Lift me up right now," the man chest bush thing replied. "Why are you so angry you tripped yourself?" Nami and Luffy said in unison. After a talk with the man, they found out he has been in that box trapped alone on this island for 20 years. His name was Gaiman and he used to be a pirate himself. He told them how he found treasure on a high cliff but fell into a box and has gotten so stuck it's a part of him. Luffy gladly agreed to help him and they set off to this cliff. After arriving there, "Hey, is that it?" asked Nami. "Yes, that is the one," answered Gaiman. Luffy jumped all the way up the cliff, shocking both of the spectators. They thought he would at least climb it. Luffy saw the chests and opened them. His eyes widened. "Hey Luffy, did you find it?" Nami screamed. "Yeah, I did." "Good, then bring it down." "No, no, what do you mean no?" Gaiman suddenly felt as if he had been tricked but then started to think about something. I will not bring them down, Nami was shocked. He was so generous at Orangetown he left behind 5 million berries. Suddenly Nami's mind was filled with thoughts like, I guess pirates are all just the same. Then Gaiman said, forget it, it is okay if he doesn't want to give them.
How is it in any way okay? That is your treasure. Nami screamed, even more shocked than before.
Straw Hat Kid, you are a good person, Gaiman said, looking up at Luffy and crying. What are you saying? Nami asked Gaiman. I have thought about it before, those chests, they are empty aren't they? Gaiman asked. Yep, every single one, Luffy replied. Nami put her hand on her chest in shock while Gaiman continued crying. It can't be, the treasure he has been guarding for so long is just a bunch of empty chests? Nami asked to no one in particular. Luffy then smiled lightly and readjusted his hat. Luffy laughed out loud, confusing both Gaiman and Nami. Don't be so disappointed, uncle. You meeting us here after 20 years is a good thing too. Cause if it had been 30, you might already be dead. Straw Hat Kid, Gaiman said silently. Luffy, Nami said under her breath as she looked up at Luffy. So uncle, what do you say, wanna join my pirate crew? Luffy asked, sitting on the edge of the cliff looking excited. Why, you are inviting me? Gaiman said, looking up at Luffy with tears welling up in his eyes. Sometime later, back on the shore, Luffy and Nami were saying goodbye to Gaiman. Uncle, are you sure you want to stay here? Luffy asked. Yes. Thanks for inviting me, but I still want to be the forest guardian. There are many rare and exotic animals on the island. And in these 20 years I have grown to love them. You are a rare and exotic animal too, uncle, Luffy said with a mischievous grin and his arms crossed. I'll kill you, Gaiman screamed at him. Well uncle, I guess this is goodbye then, Luffy said. Yeah, I am sure you will find great companions on your crew, and find the One Piece, Gaiman said, slightly shocking Luffy since most have just mocked his dreams so far. Luffy smiled lightly, his hat covering his face, and waved goodbye as he and Nami got on the boat with the sleeping Zoro and set off. Sometime later, how is Zoro still sleeping? Nami asked Luffy. Honestly, even I don't know, it's like he has some superpower or something. Nami started giggling to that. Imagine your power being sleep, Nami said as she kept giggling. She, that would be pretty lame, Luffy said. The two failed to see the giant tick mark on Zoro's head. Say Luffy, why did you invite Gaiman to the crew? I mean, he was a guy stuck in a chest. He wouldn't even be of any use to you, Nami asked.
Luffy suddenly lost his smile. I invited him because he became my friend Nami. It is as simple as that. I don't use people on my crew and I never will. The trait is like, Luffy replied, looking down at his hand. Nami sat there, eyes wide. This isn't like any pirates she has had experience with ever before, and she has been a thief for nearly a decade. Whenever pirates deem something useless, they dispose of it, human or not. I see, Nami said as she stood up and went over to her boat. I am gonna head to sleep now, have to get up early tomorrow, Nami said as she walked away in her small cabin on her boat. Okay. Good night, Luffy said. Receiving no answer, Luffy started to lie down as well and started to snore almost instantly. Zoro opened an eye looking at his captain. He had heard everything. Not what a real pirate is, just what is a pirate to you, Zoro whispered under his breath. After a little bit, Zoro decided to figure it out another time and went to sleep as well. Zoro was snoring peacefully for a while now. No distractions, no noise, it almost felt like heaven itself. Until he was woken up by the sound of somebody crying in pain. Zoro looked up and saw the navigator pummeling the captain. So much for the power of the Grand Line, Zoro said with a sweat drop on the side of his head. Zoro stood up, slowly stretching and picking up his swords. He decided to go help his moron of a captain. Hey woman, Zoro said, walking towards the yawning. What's with all the noise? Can't a guy get any sleep around here? Nami then dropped the beaten and somehow bruised captain and took a deep breath. This moron refuses to listen to a thing I've said, Nami said, yelling and pointing to the captain that was now beginning to stand up. I keep telling him we need a chef and doctor as soon as possible and he keeps going on about a damn musician. Zoro blinked. A musician, Zoro said, trying to understand why they need that of all things. He looked at the captain and decided to ask him. He is from the Grand Line, maybe he has a good use for them, Zoro thought. Hey captain, why a musician? Zoro asked. Luffy stood up looking slightly serious. He readjusted his hat and then. Every pirate crew needs a musician, Luffy said, hands on his hips and a giant smile on his face. He was met with a swift kick from the navigator, knocking him down. Honestly, you morons haven't even planned your journey, Nami said, having her palm knot my face and sounding disappointed. Who told you that? Zoro asked her. The captain already has a plan on how to get to the Grand Line, Zoro said, deciding to take a seat. Luffy stood up then, having recovered from the last kick he received. Seriously, first Belmir now her, how do they hit me, Luffy thought. Yay, what Zoro said, Luffy said, smiling and deciding to take a seat next to the bored swordsman. Nami stood there listening, hoping to God he didn't say musician again.
So, mind filling me in? Nami asked in a much more calm voice than before. Sure. So first we had to get a sniper. It shouldn't be too hard to find one, Luffy said, deciding not to speak of Usopp as that would arouse suspicion later on. A sniper? Nami thought. After that we need a cook. That is an essential to survive on the sea. Luffy said, sounding smart, but in reality he was drooling and lost in his own world of meat and surprisingly more meat. Then, Zoro and Nami looked at him finally with some hope for this moron. We kick some bad guys' ass and go to the Grand Line, Luffy said, smiling, seeming satisfied with his plan. Nami slapped herself for ever having hope, and Zoro just laughed, looking like he was having the time of his life. I can't tell whether he's actually this stupid or is just acting, Zoro thought. Zoro and Nami failed to notice the waves getting a little bit faster under them. Well, maybe I'll use my powers just this once to set us on course for Syrup Village, Luffy thought, excited to meet this Usopp who he heard about every damn day from his father Usopp. I don't even know the guy and I feel like I've known him for years, Luffy thought, deciding to put the torture he endured at the back of his mind. A few hours later, a fairly skinny teen could be seen running into a village. He wore an olive green bandana, had black woolly hair, prominent lips, a very long nose, and was wearing some brown overalls. As soon as he got into the village he yelled, "Pirates! Pirates are coming! Run for your lives, pirates!" Suddenly the villagers all came out with household items. Some holding frying pans and others holding a rake. Instead of going to fight the pirates, however, they started to chase the teenager. I was just joking, ha 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 ha, the boy screamed while laughing. The villagers, however, didn't stop chasing him. You damn brat, you've lied to us for the last time, they yelled as they pursued him into the forest. The villagers ended up losing the boy in brown overalls, who had climbed up into a tree and decided to go back to their daily boring lives. I fooled the whole village again, the boy said, laughing silently in the tree.
I have brought even more excitement to this boring village today, the boy said, smiling and resting on the tree.
There he is. A voice came from under the tree. The boy looked down to see who it was and saw 3 boys standing down there. Oh, it's you guys. Good morning, Captain Usopp. All 3 of them said, standing straight. Good morning, Carrot and Pepper. Where's Onion? The boy called Usopp asked, hopping down from the tree and nearly messing up his landing. Carrot, the taller boy wearing a black hoodie and orange shorts, responded. He is probably still sleeping. Pepper, the shorter boy with green hair, a green shirt and blue shorts, said, Yay, probably, sounding unsure of himself. How much does he want to sleep? Usopp thought, looking at the sky. Suddenly a boy came running to them with a tear or 2 in his eye.
Is that? Hey Onion, it's you, Usopp exclaimed, looking at the shortest one of the boys. He was wearing glasses, a blue vest with a yellow shirt underneath and brown shorts. This is bad. Pirates are coming, Onion said out loud, tears rolling down his cheeks and struggling to get breath. You're lying, Usopp, Carrot and Pepper said at the same time. No, I'm not. The flag had Buggy's symbol on it, I swear, Onion yelled. What did you say? Usopp yelled, his eyes almost popping out of his sockets. Usopp tried to run away, saying he has a disease that will kill him if he didn't go eat snacks. The 3 boys stopped him, however, and Onion said, It isn't a big ship, it is just 2 small ships. Usopp suddenly gained a look of confidence. Alright, let's go and face them, Usopp said with a smile and marching towards the pirates. Okay, Captain, the boys yelled, following him at the shore. Wow, we got here much earlier than I thought, Nami said, stepping onto the island and stretching. You sure you aren't just a crappy navigator? Zoro said, also stepping off and instantly getting punched in the head by the navigator. Come on, Zoro cut Nami some slack, it's been an interesting day, Luffy said, stepping off the ship and trying to defend Nami as he did make the ship go a little bit faster to make up for lost time. Thank you, Nami said, at least somebody was appreciating her efforts. Anyways, there should be a village here, Captain, Nami said, looking at her map. Although it is a pretty small one, doubt we will find a proper ship here. Well, at least there's food, Luffy said, always looking at the positives. And booze, Zoro added, equally excited, leading Nami to facepalm once more. Across from Luffy, Nami and Zoro, 4 people were hiding behind a log on a cliff. Is that them, Onion? Usopp asked, even more confident than before. Sure, they have weapons, but they don't even look like they know how to use them. They don't look scary at all, Pepper added. By the way, Luffy, have you noticed? Zoro asked Luffy suddenly. Yeah, I did, Luffy added on as well, looking towards the group up on the hill. Nami also followed their line of sight and was the first to ask, Who are you? They found us. Sorry, Captain Usopp. The 3 boys yelled as they ran away, leaving Usopp all alone. Usopp stood up shaking. Luffy saw him and everything lined up. The long nose and the name. There was no mistaking it. In front of him was standing the person whose name he had heard a million times each day for years. The same stories were told to him over and over. The son of Usopp and his future sniper. Luffy didn't know whether to punch him as revenge for the torture or to be happy. He decided on the latter, however, as punching him won't help in convincing him to join.
I am the great pirate fleet leader Captain Usopp. It is best you leave this place now and cause no harm. Otherwise my 80 million men will not forgive you, Usopp said with his arms crossed looking straight at the pirates. You are joking, right? Nami said, seeing the obvious and stupid lie. Wah! I've been caught, Usopp said, shocking and falling down the cliff.
See, you even said it yourself. Nami said with a sweat drop on the side of HHTB, even dumber than Luffy.
Arg! Did I seriously just say that? Bad planning, Usopp started yelling while panicking and spinning around with his hands on the side of his head. Luffy started laughing in the background, calling Usopp stupid and funny.
Hey, don't you underestimate me. I am a man with high self-esteem and everyone respects me, Usopp said, getting his slingshot and aiming at Luffy.
A slingshot? All three of them thought. I've never heard of pirates that use slingshots before, Nami said, looking amused, mocking Usopp and his weapon. Luffy suddenly became a whole lot more serious and said, now that you've drawn your weapon, are you willing to use it? Weapons aren't for threats, they're for action. Usopp gulped and Zoro caught on to what Luffy was doing and joined him. He slightly unsheathed his sword with his thumb and said, what you are looking at now are real pirates. Usopp stayed silent, sweating and slightly shaking. The green-haired one had a terrifying glare, but it was nothing compared to that of the man in the straw hat behind him. What should he do?
Nami was also slightly scared. Those two hadn't been this serious since Buggy. What were they going to do to this Usopp person, Nami thought in horror, remembering her previous experiences with pirates.
In the end, Usopp fell to his knees and said, real pirates definitely have more punch behind their words. Both Zoro and Luffy started laughing. Luffy finally stopped laughing and said, you are Usopp, aren't you? I know your father Usopp is his name, right? That caught Usopp's attention. How does that man know his father? At a restaurant in the village, Luffy and the others were all eating at a restaurant. Luffy told Usopp all about Usopp. Well, not all, he left out the part of him going to the Grand Line. He just told him that he joined the crew of a pirate named Shanks that visited his village when he was a kid and that he tortured him with stories about his only son. Usopp rubbed the back of his head and apologized. So, my old man sailing the seas as a pirate, huh? Usopp asked, to no one in particular. Yay, that's pretty much it, Luffy said with food in his mouth, eating like a pig as always. Well, do you know where we can get a ship around here? Luffy asked, shocking his crewmates. He asked an actual good question, both of them thought. What? No, have you seen our village? It's so small, Usopp replied, oddly nervous. Well, what about that mansion over there? Nami asked, pointing to the mansion on the hill. Oh no, stay away from that place. The girl that lives there and owns it is a frail, sick girl who is always stuck in there. She is in fragile condition, Usopp said, hoping the pirates won't bother her. Well, I should be going now. Tell the owner of the place you are Usopp's friends, Usopp said as he ran out the restaurant. Suddenly the three boys from before came into the shop and faces the three pirates. What have you done with the captain? They asked. Just then Luffy coincidentally burped and Zoro got an idea. He slowly looked at the kids and with a menacing smirk said, we ate him, shocking the poor kids. Ag cannibals, the kids yelled while looking at Nami for some unknown reason. Why are you looking at me? Nami yelled. Enraged Luffy just smiled mysteriously under his hat, looking at Zoro and Nami. Then he told the kids that they were just joking and asked where they think Usopp would be. Oh, Usopp would be at the mansion then. He always goes there to lie to the girl that lives there, Carrot said. That's horrible, Nami said, getting the wrong idea. Oh no, it's actually very good. He tells her stories to make her happy, Pepper corrected, and Onion and Carrot both nodded. The crew decided to go to the mansion and see if they can indeed try to get a ship from the girl that lives there. A frail-looking girl was standing in her room looking out her window, the wind blowing onto her face, slightly blowing her light blonde hair back. This wasn't any ordinary house, however. She was in a mansion. Behind her, a tall man wearing a suit and glasses slowly approached her, readjusting his glasses with his palm instead of his fingers. Miss Kaya. The man called out to the frail girl. May I ask what is it that you are doing? The girl, now identified as Kaya, turned around with a smile on her face. Hey Klahadore, I'm just waiting for Usopp. What brings you here? Kaya replied, curious to why he was here but enjoying his company nonetheless. Klahadore's eyes suddenly widened a bit and he had a face that looked like it was between irritation or annoyance. Miss Kaya, how many times have I told you not to talk to Usopp? He is the biggest liar in the entire village and I don't want you to fall into his bad influence, Klahadore replied to her in a calm and respectful tone. Kaya had sat down on her bed while Klahadore was talking. Her face turned a bit irritated and she crossed her arms, almost pouting. Petty, Kaya replied to Klahadore. You may call me whatever you like, Miss Kaya, however, I will not change my mind, Klahadore replied with his back turned to Kaya, readjusting something on the table. Usopp's weird stories are just too exciting to a weak young girl such as you. But I told you I'm feeling okay, Kaya replied, getting sadder and a bit irritated now.
Klahadore turned around, readjusting his glasses in that weird way again. Please, Miss Kaya. Listen to me. When your parents passed away, they specifically instructed me to take care of you. It is why I hired guards at the entrance of the mansion, he said in a calm and sincere voice.
All of this is for your own good, Miss Kaya. Kaya looked down at her hands, looking disappointed. Yes, I know, Kaya replied in a disappointed voice. I put your medicine here, Miss Kaya, please take it. I'm glad you understand, Klahadore said before he made his way out of Kaya's room. Kaya sighed and got up to take her medicine. After she had taken her medicine, she heard a boy's voice call out to her. Hey Kaya. Why do you have that sad look on your face again? Kaya recognized the voice and smiled wide. She ran to her window and was greeted by Usopp sitting on the branch to one of the many trees in her yard. Usopp, Kaya called out, looking happy almost instantly. I'm sorry, I wanted to treat you like a proper guest, but Klahadore won't allow it, Kaya said in an apologetic and sad tone. It's not like you're a bad person. Don't worry about it, I feel good out here. The somberness of the room might suffocate me. Because I'm a brave warrior of the sea, Usopp said, pointing to himself with a smile on his face. So which adventure are you going to tell me about today? Kaya asked, looking excited and just happy for Usopp's company. Let's see, I'll tell you about the time I fought with a southern giant goldfish. A goldfish? Kaya questioned, looking intrigued. The most amazing thing was its feces. It was very big and very, very long. I even docked my ship on it, Usopp said with the most serious face he could muster. Kaya was laughing through the entire story outside the mansion.
Luffy and the others were currently outside the sides of the mansion. There was a big wall in front of them. Behind those walls was a beautiful white mansion with trees all around the mansion inside the walls, making it look even more beautiful.
So this is the mansion, Nami said, looking at the beautiful building in front of her. Yep, all three boys replied in sync. Why do you all even follow Usopp? Zoro asked out of curiosity. I like the captain's nosiness, Carrot said. I like the captain's cowardice, Pepper replied. I like the captain's lies. Onion replied. Hell kind of qualities are those? Zoro said with a sweat drop or two, looking genuinely confused.
Good afternoon, please lend us a ship, Luffy yelled out. He then proceeded to climb over the wall, removing any reason to greet them in the first place.
Come on guys, let's go, Luffy said as he jumped over the wall. Nami sighed, face palming. We had to go after him, don't we?
Yeah, he is the captain, Zoro said as he and Nami all climbed over the wall, with Zoro having the three boys holding onto him.
Klahadore could be seen talking to another butler who looked like he was half ram half human. So we have trespassers. Where are the guards? Klahadore asked, readjusting his glasses again. Well, they went for lunch, the other butler replied.
Wait here, Mary, Klahadore replied to the other butler known as Mary.
Usopp was still telling Kaya his ridiculous stories and she was still laughing and enjoying every second of it. So what happened to the goldfish? Kaya asked, still laughing. Well, I sliced it up into little pieces and sent them into the country of the dwarves. Up to this day they still haven't finished eating it. In fact, because of my great powers they all call me. Usopp was then interrupted by a voice or three saying, Hey Captain. Yes, they call me Captain. Usopp finished his story and then recognized those voices. He looked toward the direction they came from at lightning speed and had a shocked face when he saw not only the three boys but also those three pirates. Huh, why are you all here? Usopp asked the unexpected visitors. We brought this guy here, the three boys all said, pointing to Luffy. Who's that? Kaya asked, looking at the man in the straw hat and surprisingly formal clothes, wearing a red shirt with the top two buttons undone, black pants and black shoes, even if he was missing the jacket and a tie. She also noticed he was armed and had two beautiful-looking swords at one side and a gun with a red grip on his other side. She also saw two people behind him, a beautiful orange-haired woman wearing a white shirt with blue stripes and a yellow skirt. While the other was a green-haired man with three swords at his side, a white shirt, greenish-black pants, a sash and a bandana tied on one of his biceps. So you're the girl that owns this mansion? Luffy asked in a friendly voice with a smile on his face. Usopp then rushed to Luffy's side and put his arm around Luffy, had a proud face and said, Yes, these guys heard of my reputation and traveled far to see me here. They're the news members of the Usopp Pirates. Wait, what? No, that's not it. We have a request, Luffy said, quickly finding an escape from that horrible reputation. A request of me? Kaya questioned. Yes, we need a big ship, Luffy said, but was interrupted however by Klahadore, who asked, What are all of you doing here? You can't just barge into the mansion like this, Klahadore said, making his way to the crowd. Ugh. The butler Usopp thought, who the hell is this guy? Both Zoro and Nami thought. Wait, Klahadore, these people are... Kaya was interrupted by Klahadore. You don't need to explain anything to me now, you can tell me later. Please get out. Or is there something you need to say? Klahadore asked the people standing in front of him. I want a ship, Luffy said instantly with a grin. No way, Klahadore also replied instantly.
Zoro bonked Luffy in the back of the head while Usopp was trying to sneak out. Klahadore noticed him however. Usopp. Is that you?
Oh crap, Usopp thought. I've heard rumors about you from the village. They talk about you all the time. That's right. You may call me Captain Usopp. Usopp said, putting his hands on his hips and facing Klahadore. Everyone calls me that. The guards said you were lurking around the gates, Klahadore said while adjusting his glasses. So what is it that you are doing here? I heard there is a huge mole inside the mansion, so I came to see it for myself, Usopp said while sweating and shaking. Haha, I see that you can certainly lie well, Klahadore said chuckling. I've heard about your father as well. You're the son of a filthy pirate. I'm not surprised that you turned out this way. Although I'll warn you now, stay away from Miss Kaya. Usopp was shaking but not with fear for once. This time his eyes were sharp and his hands had turned into fists. Did you say filthy? Usopp asked in an angered tone. You and Miss Kaya belong in completely different worlds. Klahadore said, is it money that you're looking for? Name your price? That comment caused Kaya to have a look of utter shock and anger. That's enough, Klahadore. Apologized to Usopp at once, Kaya yelled in anger.
There is no need for me to apologize to this uncivilized person, Klahadore replied. I'm just telling the truth. I feel sorry for you. You hate your father, don't you? Because he's a foolish treasure hunter who deserted his family and village.
Klahadore. Kaya yelled once more. Luffy in the background was also angered by every comment Klahadore had made on Usopp. Sure, he tortured him with his stories, but he still loved him along with the rest of Shanks' crew. He was the one who taught Luffy how to use a gun. Before Luffy could say anything, however, Usopp replied to Klahadore himself. I won't let you say another bad thing about my father.
Why are you so angry? Not very smart of you. You should have just told your usual lies and said your real father is a traveling merchant or that you and that pirate aren't blood related, Klahadore replied, seeming like he was trying to make Usopp snap, and if he was doing a very good job.
Shut up, Usopp yelled as he charged and punched Klahadore straight in the face, knocking him back a feet or two, causing him to fall down. The three boys and Kaya all had shocked looks on their faces while Zoro and Nami looked on with straight faces. Luffy had an angered look, yet he also seemed satisfied and had a smirk on his face. No one noticed that, however. You'll make a fine crew member, Usopp, Luffy thought to himself. See, you're so violent, Klahadore said, standing up holding his cheek, like father like son.
Shut up. Usopp yelled at him once again. I'm proud that my father was a pirate. I'm proud that he was a brave warrior of the sea. Usopp yelled at Klahadore, looking determined and extremely angry. You're right that I like to lie. But I'm proud of having a pirate's blood in me. I don't have to pretend that I'm not. I am the son of a pirate. Luffy smiled in the background, his hat covering his eyes. He was definitely Usopp's son, and now he was definitely his future sniper. You say pirates are brave warriors of the sea? Don't twist the truth. You only say such things cause you have the blood of a savage flowing through you. You even resort to violence when enraged. I believe you only get close to Miss Kaya for money, Klahadore exclaimed, standing back up and adjusting his glasses. What the hell are you talking about? Usopp yelled. Who cares what your motives are? The fact your father is a pirate is more than enough reason for me to kick you out, Klahadore yelled at Usopp. Usopp then grabbed Klahadore by the collar and got ready to punch him. You dare say that again and all, but he was stopped by Kaya, who begged him to not use any violence, saying Klahadore isn't a bad person, he's just concerned about her. Get your hand off me, Klahadore said, slapping Usopp's hand off. Savages like you are not welcome here. I'll let you off this time, but I warn you, don't come here again. Fine, I understand. I'll leave even without you telling me to, Usopp said, still enraged. I'll never come back here again, Usopp said, walking off. Usopp, Kaya whispered to herself in a sad tone. You bastard, Captain is not that kind of person. The three kids screamed in sync as they tried to rush Klahadore but were held back by Zoro. All of you get the hell out of here now, Klahadore screamed at the top of his lungs. Zoro and Nami made their way out with the kids. Luffy looked into Klahadore's eyes enraged, then as soon as he hardened his eyes, Klahadore felt his legs get extremely weak and he could barely stand. He looked into Luffy's eyes and felt terror. Who is this man? Klahadore thought as he stared into those black orbs, sweating and shaking. Luffy looked down and walked away, following Nami and Zoro, deciding this was not the place or the time to engage in battle with some cocky butler. As soon as Luffy left, Klahadore had collapsed on his knees, breathing heavily. Who was that and why did he feel so intimidated? Klahadore shook his head, blaming it on the stress. There is no way that random fool intimidated me, Klahadore thought as he made his way back inside. Sometime later, Klahadore entered Kaya's room with some food. He found Kaya crying into a pillow she was holding, sitting on her bed. Kaya saw him and wiped away all her tears, trying to look serious and even a little angry instead. Miss Kaya, I brought you food. I don't want to eat, the food doesn't taste good. Don't say that, Miss Kaya. The chef will get upset. He tries his hardest to make food suited for your health, Klahadore said, walking forward with the food. He put the food on the table and took a seat. Why did you have to say it like that?
Kaya asked Klahadore, referring to all the horrible things he said to her friend. I know I kept it from you, secretly talking to Usopp without you knowing, but you didn't have to say all that horrible stuff to him. I have been in this house for 3 years now. I can never forget how I came here. I was working on a ship. Due to a small mistake I was fired. Afterwards I was lost and ended up in this village. I had no money and had no idea on what to do, but your dad took me in. If he hadn't, I would be dead now. To me, your parents are my saviors and you are my savior's daughter. I know I have no business in you and who you decide to make your friend. However, Usopp has a terrible reputation in the village. If anything happened to you, I'd feel like I betrayed your parents, Klahadore said with a hand on his strained face. I know what I said before was a little extreme. Do you hate me because of it? No, I don't hate you, Kaya replied in a soft tone. I should thank you for taking care of me. However, Usopp isn't a bad person at all. You misunderstood him. Doesn't matter, Klahadore said as he stood up. Hey, you didn't listen to my explanation. So what if I don't listen? Klahadore said as he walked out. Enjoy the meal, he said on his way out. Kaya just sat there pouting. She went to the table and started to eat her food. Somewhere near the village, Nami was sitting on a fence while Zoro and the two boys were sitting on the floor with their backs resting on the fence. Luffy was nowhere to be seen, however, and neither was Usopp or Onion. Hey Zoro, where's Luffy? Nami asked the swordsman, curious about the whereabouts of her temporary captain. He went chasing after that Usopp guy, Zoro replied, holding his treasured white-sheathed sword Wado Ichimonji. They're probably at the shore, Carrot said. Oh yeah, the captain always goes there when he has to clear his mind, Pepper added on. Are you gonna go to check it out? The two boys asked Zoro. Nah, hey, where's your other buddy? Onion was his name, right? Nami asked the two boys. He disappears a lot and makes tons of noise when he shows up, Carrot answered. Suddenly they all heard a boy screaming and saw Onion running towards them, saying something about a man walking backwards. See, both boys said to Nami, who nodded with a sweat drop. There's a weird guy walking backwards, Onion yelled as soon as he reached the group. Liar, Carrot and Pepper said in sync. It's true. Look, Carrot said as he pointed to the weird man. Nami and Zoro both looked as well interested in what was happening. They saw a guy in formal-like attire and a hat walking backwards. He was also wearing sunglasses that had pink heart lens. Hey, who said I'm a weird guy? The weird guy asked. I don't look weird, he said, continuing to walk backwards past them. Yes, you are. Anyway, I look at it. You look weird, Nami said. The name is Django. I'm just a passing hypnotist, Django said. Wow, show us hypnotism, the three boys said. Idiots, you guys don't even understand what hypnotism is. No way am I showing these idiots what hypnotism is, Django thought. Okay, look at this, Django, a pendulum. The pendulum was swinging and Django said, okay, I'll say 1, 2 and Django and you will all fall asleep. He then proceeded to hypnotize the boys but also ended up hypnotizing himself and fell asleep with the boys. The hell is he doing? Zoro yelled after seeing the event happen in front of him. At the cliff near the shore, Usopp was sitting looking at the ocean silently. There was little to no wind and the sky was as clear as possible. Hi, Luffy said, suddenly appearing in front of Usopp, scaring him. The hell are you doing here? Usopp asked, still shocked to see him just appear. Was he just so lost in his own world he didn't notice him walk in front of him? Luffy sat down and talked to Usopp about Usopp, told him how as a kid he saw him shoot the wings of a fly. He rambled on and on till Usopp finally realized who Shanks was. Wait, Shanks the red-haired? Yep, you know him? Of course I do. He's a great pirate. My dad is really on his ship. Yep, one of the best too, Luffy added, although he was wondering if normal villagers knew of Shanks. Did anyone in the Marines know of him? To tell you the truth, even though my father left me for the seas, I'm still proud of him, Usopp said. But that bastard looked down on my dad. I won't forgive him. Yup, I don't like him either, Luffy stated, hands crossed. Are you gonna give up on seeing that Kaya girl? Only if he apologizes and begs me, Usopp said, looking prideful. Even though you like her? Luffy said with a smirk, causing Usopp to blush and start spitting out nonsense trying to defend himself. Luffy was stupid, sure, but he wasn't that stupid. Wait, isn't that the butler down there? Luffy said, pointing to Klahadore down at the shore. Yay, that's him. What's he doing out here? Usopp asked. No one in particular. Who's that weird guy with him? Down on the shore, Klahadore and Django were discussing a plan about assassination. This caught both Luffy and Usopp's attention. So are you ready to assassinate Miss Kaya? Klahadore asked. Yeah, we are all set and ready to go, Django replied. Wait, assassinate? Both Luffy and Usopp thought in shock. Assassinate is such an ugly word. Klahadore started. How about accident? Ah yes, accident. We shall call it an accident, Captain Curo, Django answered immediately. Klahadore's demeanor suddenly changed to being called Captain Curo. Captain Curo. I gave up that name 3 years ago, Curo said, looking coldly at Django, making the man shake in fear. Do not call me by that name again, Django. You're the captain now, understood? Why yes, of course. Django almost spat out. Never heard of a captain that takes orders from others, Django thought. Meanwhile, up on the cliff, Usopp and Luffy were listening to every word that was being said. The former terrified and the latter picking his nose like nothing was happening. So, who the hell is Captain Curo? Luffy asked, finally done picking his nose and disregarding all manners taught to him by Ben. Not like you will ever find out, Luffy thought. On a ship in the New World. A sound of a mug breaking could be heard. Shanks looked at Ben, who had crushed a mug in his hand. The hell is up with you? Shanks asked. I have a sudden urge to hit Luffy, Ben answered, looking into the distance. Shanks just stared at him with a giant sweat drop. Okay? Back at the cliff above the shore. Usopp was panicking, scared for his life. What's wrong with you? Luffy whispered. Usopp finally calmed down and started to speak. That's Captain Curo. The pirate infamous for his careful planning before robbing and plundering. I heard he got caught years ago and got executed, Usopp explained to Luffy. A tactician? Luffy thought. He almost considered asking him to join the crew until he remembered the robbing and plundering part. He knew there was something fishy about him, the way he made Usopp attack him only to accuse him of being a savage. I still remember that day. Django began looking at the sky with his arms spread out wide. It simply shocked me. The day you said you were going to give up being a pirate and make me the captain. Everyone thinks Captain Curo has been executed, but here he is hiding away in this little village. You told us to come here in 3 years' time. Django sat down on a rock and started to speak once more. Before, when I worked for you, there were always lots of benefits. That's the only reason I worked for you. I can get a good share this time, right? Django finished looking up at the man in the suit. Yes, you will get your share, given you do what is required of you, Curo answered. Good, leave that girl to me, Django said, pointing to himself with his thumb. No, killing will not be enough. You have to make it look like an accident, Curo said. It looks to me like you aren't ready yet. No, I am completely ready, Django countered. When you send the signal, we will charge into the village and kill the girl. Then you can claim all her inheritance. I wonder if you were born with a brain, Curo started. How can I claim her inheritance when I'm not a part of her family? The most important part is you hypnotize her and make her sign a doe saying she wants all her wealth to be left for Klahadore, Curo said, pointing at Django.
Usopp lost all panic and suddenly became very mad at that. This way I can openly claim her wealth. I have spent 3 years being a damn butler for her and that stupid family, gaining everyone's trust. This way when she perishes no one will suspect me of the crime, Curo said with quite an evil face and a hand on his chest. This is what you spent 3 years on, Django began. Why didn't you just raid the village from the start? If I had done that, then the Marines would have been after me. This plan can get me tons of money, plus I won't have to worry about the Marines chasing me. I like using my head to find a peaceful way to settle things, Curo explained. Django started laughing at that. Peaceful way to settle things, you say? You mean murdering her entire family is a peaceful way? Django finished and kept laughing. Hey, what do you mean her entire family? Her parents died naturally. That was outside of my plans, Curo said in his defense. Anyways, there is no point in arguing about this. Just know we are ready whenever you give the signal. We have had our ship docked near the island for a week, Django said. They can't wait any longer. Back at the cliff, Usopp and Luffy were hiding, the former thinking of ways to come in at the right time and save Kaya, and the latter thinking of ending this now. Luffy stood up. Hey, what are you doing? Usopp said. Hey, you too, Luffy yelled out, catching the attention of Django and Curo. Don't you dare hurt Kaya. This guy has a death wish, the hiding sniper and the 2 men at the shore thought. Usopp stood up, trying to pull Luffy back. You idiot, get back, they'll see you. Oh, it's Usopp, Curo said, smirking. Ah, he saw me, Usopp said with his jaw dropped and sharp teeth. Did you hear anything? Curo asked, giving both a cold stare. It intimidated Usopp, but Luffy was a different story. Nope, not a thing, Usopp answered, scared for his life. We heard everything, Luffy answered. Are you crazy? Why did you tell him that? Usopp said, looking at Luffy like he was crazy. Oh well, you guys take a look at this pendulum, Django said, holding out the pendulum. Luffy, being the idiot he is, decided to stare straight at it. Not like hypnotism actually exists, thought the water rubber man from the sea of monsters made of lava, food, sand and God knows what else. Usopp was smart enough not to look and decided to duck and look straight down at the grass. When I say 1-2 Django, you will fall asleep, Django said. 1-2 Django. Luffy suddenly fell asleep, standing up. Meanwhile, Curo woke Django up. You still haven't gotten rid of that habit, have you? Luffy then fell off the cliff and fell on the rocks below him that collapsed, and he was buried in a pile of giant rocks. Hey, wait, are you alright? Usopp said, looking over the cliff. Damn it, I didn't want to kill him, Django said. Broken neck and buried under all that, he's dead for sure. Usopp started shaking. BB bastard, you killed him, Usopp screamed. What about that one?
Kill him too, Django asked Curo. No, leave him. No matter what he says, nobody will believe him, Curo said calmly. Django, tomorrow morning take the crew and attack the village and kill Miss Kaya.
Did you hear that, Usopp? No matter what you do, you can't save the village, Curo said, smirking at Usopp.
Usopp ran away screaming. Are you sure it will be okay? Django asked Curo. Yes, nobody will believe a word he says. He's the village's liar after all. This is bad, really bad, Usopp said, running. I love this village. I have to save them, I'm too weak. Wait, is that? Usopp said as he saw a orange-haired woman and green-haired man sitting near the path, the former sitting on the fence and the latter leaning against it. He also saw Carrot, Pepper and Onion. Hey look, it's the captain, Carrot yelled out. Wasn't Luffy meant to be with him? Zoro questioned. Is he still mad at the butler for looking down on his dad? Nami asked, getting off the fence. Who knows, Zoro answered back, also standing up straight. No, his expression is different, Carrot said. Something must have happened at the shore, Pepper said. The captain looks like he is panicking, Onion said. Hey kids, how do I get to the shore? Zoro asked. I think something very big happened at the shore, Carrot said. Yay, that crazy hypnotist guy went that way as well, Pepper said. Okay, Usopp, pirate crew is moving, Onion said. Oi, Zoro said, feeling ignored. Usopp ran into the village screaming, pirates are coming. Suddenly all the villagers came out with their weapons. Like we would believe you. If you were an honest man like Klahadore, we would, the villagers screamed out. No matter what he says, nobody will believe him. Usopp has a flashback of Curo and finally realized what he meant. He had lost the trust of everyone in the village after the continuous lies. He was essentially the boy who cried wolf. No please. Just this once, trust me. Pirates will really be here tomorrow, Usopp screamed, crying at the same time. No one trusted what him out. Usopp made it back to the kids and the two pirates. They questioned him about where Luffy was. Luffy is dead. He was killed by Klahadore and that hypnotist guy, Usopp said, a few tears leaking out through his own eyes. Nami for one was shocked. There was no way he could be dead. Zoro on the other hand didn't buy it. No way someone as strong as Luffy was killed by a butler and a weirdo. Let's go to the shore, Zoro said with a straight face. The kids started to lead the way while Usopp said he had something to do and ran in another direction. Nami didn't know if she wanted to go and see Luffy's dead body. Yay, he was strong, but Usopp didn't look like he was lying. He looked genuinely terrified. She gulped and started to follow Zoro and the kids. At the shore. This is the cliff Captain Usopp always comes to when he's down, Pepper said. Zoro and Nami started to look around. Then Zoro looked off the cliff and found Luffy. Over here, Zoro said. Nami went to look off the cliff and her eyes opened wide. Luffy was buried in giant rocks. They all made their way down the cliff to get a closer look. Nami saw Luffy closer up. Only a small part of him was visible. He was buried in giant rocks that looked like they fell off the cliff straight onto him. There was no way he was alive. It made her a little sad. Sure, he was a pirate, but he didn't act like one. Hell, she'd even call him her friend. He really is dead, the three kids said, feeling sorry for the two older people standing looking at Luffy. Zoro smirked and kicked Luffy's face as hard as he could. What the hell are you doing? Nami screamed at him. What the hell happened? Where am I? Luffy said as his eyes opened. He's still alive, Nami and the three boys screamed. Nami was definitely relieved but also kicked Luffy as hard as she could just for good measure. Ouch, hey, Luffy whined like a little kid. What was that for? Just get up, dumbass, Zoro said. Luffy then noticed all the big rocks on top of him and just stood up, pushing them all aside, leaving Nami and the three younger kids shocked. Those rocks were big after all, and he didn't have a scratch on him. Luffy started patting all the dust off his clothes and his swords and gun. It was the first time Zoro or Nami got a good look at his swords, or at least the sheath anyways. They still didn't know what the actual swords looked like. All they knew was by the sheath the sword was definitely in the millions, maybe more. The first sword had a golden handle and a crimson black color sheath with what looked like a blue serpent drawing wrapped around it. The second sword also had a golden handle, a dark blue sheath with a red serpent drawing wrapped around it. Nami thought for a second. Those swords were definitely worth in the hundreds of millions. How did he get those? She then thought even if she stole one and sold it, she could probably have enough money to buy Kokoyashi 2 or 3 times. However, she didn't know if she could do that to Luffy. She had also heard stealing a swordsman's sword is the biggest mistake you can make from Zoro. Nami disregarded the idea completely. Dealing with Luffy is one thing, but dealing with him when he is beyond mad is something she didn't want to do. Zoro meanwhile just looked at the swords and smirked for some mysterious reason. So, what brings you guys here? Luffy asked, putting his straw hat on his head. Thank God it didn't get hit by the rocks, Luffy thought. We're here for you, dumbass, Zoro screamed at him. Jesus, dumbass, the only insult you know? Luffy asked, crossing his arms, causing Zoro to hit him and Nami to giggle.
Luffy went on to explain to everyone present what happened and what he heard regarding Curo and the assassination plan and how he ended up snoozing in the rocks.
Only an idiot like you would get hypnotized like that, Nami said facepalming. So that bastard butler was the bad guy, Carrot said. No wonder he gave me the creeps, Pepper said, and that hypnotist was a fake as well, Onion said. That explains why your captain looked so scared and was running around warning everyone. Well anyways, it's good you are the first to know you should run away before any of the pirates get here, Nami said to the three little kids. The three nodded and ran away to pack their stuff. Oh no, Luffy screamed, shocking both Nami and Zoro. What is it? Both asked, looking ready to take on the world. We forgot to get the meat. The butcher will run away too. Luffy screamed and instantly got knocked out cold by Nami and Zoro. At the mansion, Usopp had run all the way to Kaya's mansion. He had to warn her of what could happen. The villagers may not trust him, but he knew she would trust him. She had to, otherwise he didn't know what he would do. Usopp made it outside her mansion and climbed over the walls. He ran up to climb that same tree and called for Kaya. Said blonde-haired girl opened the window and greeted him with a smile. However, the same expression was not met by Usopp. Kaya, hurry, you have to escape or else you'll be killed, Usopp screamed at Kaya. Wait, what? The blonde-haired girl asked in great confusion. Was this another one of his lies? You were lied to by that butler. He's actually a pirate, Usopp screamed once again, trying to make his friend understand. Wait, how can you call Klahadore a pirate? Kaya asked, even more confused than before. What is Usopp on about? She wondered. It's true, I overheard him talking to another pirate. He came here for your wealth, he is planning to kill you, Usopp said, sounding desperate. What are you talking about, Usopp? Kaya asked in disbelief. He and other pirates are coming tomorrow morning to kill you. If you don't leave now it will be too late, Usopp warned. Stop it, Usopp, I was wrong about you, Kaya yelled in anger. What? Usopp asked in disbelief. I can't believe you were willing to go this far to get your revenge on Klahadore. I know he was harsh on you talking about your father that way, but how can you make up lies about him like that? I can't believe you're this type of person, Kaya yelled out in anger and sorrow. In the past I always listened to your lies. I made them into hopes and dreams. They made my life fill up with happiness. I really liked the lies you made up, but now you are using them to harm such a good person. It's not like that, Usopp yelled out in defense. You're a terrible person, Kaya said as tears started to fall from her eyes. Miss Kaya, are you okay? The two guards asked as they came in. They noticed Usopp sitting on the tree. He jumped off the tree as soon as he saw them, ready to defend himself. Don't worry, Miss Kaya, we will throw this pest out. As they started to grab Usopp and drag him out. No, wait, you have to believe me. Let me go, Usopp said as he bit the hand of one of the guards and broke free. The guards both pulled out their guns and Usopp expertly used his slingshot to hit them in the head with rocks as he dodged their bullets.
Kaya looked in horror as Usopp fought with the two guards.
Stop it, she screamed, but it had fallen on deaf ears. Usopp finally managed to knock both of the guards out and instantly ran to Kaya. Please, you have to believe me, before the butler comes. You aren't the Usopp I used to know, Kaya said with tears building up. Look, he's over there at the mansion. A villager screamed as they all charged towards the mansion. If you won't listen I have to take you by force, Usopp said as he started jumping to Kaya's mini balcony and started to pull her. However, he was met with a slap. Look at yourself. How can I believe you? She said as Usopp fell off the small balcony and fell on the grass. Suddenly Mary came in with a gun. Get out of here or I will. Stop, Kaya screamed, but it had no effect. Mary shot Usopp in the arm, missing his chest as the young man tried to dodge the bullet. No, Kaya screamed, seeing her friend hurt, and snatched the gun from Mary before he could do anything else. Usopp felt betrayed, hurt and many other things, but he knew he had to run. Otherwise the very protect might kill him. Usopp ran back to where the strange group of pirates were as fast as he could. Usopp was unable to find them, so he just sat on the grass far away from the village. He was suddenly approached by the three kids who looked up to him and also by the strange group of pirates. The kids had bumps on their heads as if someone had beat them to a pulp and looked scared of the girl with the orange hair. The hell did they say to her to deserve this? Usopp wondered. Carrot and the other two instantly cried to Usopp, saying, all we wanted to do was help. You ran me over, Nami yelled back at them. We were going too fast, the kids said in unison. Suddenly Usopp heard a familiar voice. Hey Usopp, Luffy said as he approached him. What happened to your arm? He said with a concerned look on his face. Usopp looked blankly at Luffy for a second before screaming, how are you still alive? And jumping back, pointing at the man in the straw hat with his arm shaking. I just woke up, Luffy responded nonchalantly. He was asleep the entire time, Nami said, still glaring at Luffy for his stupidity. Usopp just blinked. Luffy walked towards Usopp and took a look at his arm. Seeing a bullet wound, you got shot? Luffy asked. Why yay, Usopp responded, not familiar with Luffy's new serious mood. Luffy was glad he only got shot in the arm. Luffy instructed everyone to go back to their ship, so they could fix Usopp up. At the boat, Luffy fixed Usopp's wound up by himself, surprising the people around him. Nobody expected him of all people to know anything about medicine. Zoro thought he might have, but disregarded it seeing how he acts. Nami was searching for any natural disasters. Luffy and medicine? Surely the world is ending. Granted, she didn't know him well, but the way he acts, no way he could sit still long enough to learn about medicine. The three kids had left Usopp in anger and disappointment after Usopp said he was just lying about Curo planning to kill everyone. The kids believed him and left in anger and disappointment. Not something Usopp wanted, but something he needed to do. This fight was too dangerous for kids. "So what happened to your arm, Usopp?" Luffy asked, picking his nose, causing Nami and Usopp to look in disgust. Zoro was used to it. "I rather not talk about that." Usopp started, "Just I have to protect this village. Nobody believes a word I say, so I have to face those pirates head on," Usopp finished. While his eyes were filled with determination, his legs were not. They were shaking at incredible speeds, causing Luffy to snicker.
"You're a pretty good guy, you know. Lying to your crew to protect them," Zoro said with a smirk. He was a coward, but he was someone he could respect.
"Yay, don't worry, we'll help you protect this village," Luffy reassured Usopp while he held his left shoulder and started winding up his arm. "Yay, but not before I get their treasure first, understand?" Nami added, both with eyes of determination and eyes of berry, literally. What? You guys are willing to fight with me?" Usopp asked, purely shocked but also grateful. "Only because the enemy outnumber you," Luffy explained. "Also you have, 'I am scared,' written all over you," Zoro added on. What? I am Captain Usopp and I am not scared. How dare you accuse me of such things? Who cares if they outnumber me? In my veins I have the blood of a courageous warrior," Usopp screamed out loud, having a thumb pointing to himself. "Ah!" Nami looked at his furiously shaking legs. "Damn it, stop shaking," Usopp screamed as he started punching his legs. "What are you guys looking at? It's Captain Kuro's fleet. Of course I'm scared," Usopp screamed at the three pirates. "I don't need your sympathy now, go away." "We aren't sympathizing with you. Instead we are commending you for your courage," Zoro answered. "Yay. Otherwise why would we risk our lives?" Luffy said, cracking his knuckles, his hat covering half his face. "You guys," Usopp said, extremely grateful. "Alright, I have a plan," Usopp said, getting serious, switching to a different scene. Klahadore can be seen standing over a man covered in blood. "No need to keep up this act any longer. 3 years is long enough," Klahadore, or rather Curo, says, walking away from a bleeding out Mary.
"Tomorrow I shall finally receive the fruits of my labor."
At the slope, early morning, Usopp had finally finished preparations for the big battle. There was now a disturbing amount of oil all over the slope, preventing anyone from climbing it. "The sun is finally up," Nami says, preparing herself. Meanwhile, on the opposite slope on the other side of the island.
"We have made it ashore," Django says, getting off the ship with his crew following.
"Hey Captain, what should we do about those 2 small boats next to us?" "Don't bother with them, they won't have anything anyways," Django replies, not knowing the millions of berries the small boats have on them. Back to Luffy and Co. "Oh crap, there is another entrance at the north," Usopp yells, to the shock of everyone else. All remembering that's where their ships are docked.
"Oh no, my treasure is going to be robbed." Nami yells, instantly dashing towards the other entrance using Zoro as support, making him slip into the oil.
"You damn witch," Zoro yells as he puts all his effort into making it up the slope. Usopp and Luffy both left, going in completely different directions, the former following Nami and the latter going God knows where. A few minutes later, Usopp arrives at the slope just in time, seeing all the pirates making their way up. "I am Captain Usopp and I have been waiting for you. I've made preparations, so if you don't wish to die, leave at once," Usopp yells, faking some confidence. "Wait, where the hell is Luffy? He ran before me, at the village." "Wait, this isn't the dock," Luffy deduces with his great detective skills. Luffy ran in another direction and saw Zoro running too. "Hey Zoro. Wait up," Luffy screams. "Luffy, it's you? Hurry, we need to get back to the dock," he said, surprisingly running in the right direction. Luffy, deciding not to waste any more time, uses what little observation haki he knows to sense the presence of Nami and Usopp, confirming they're in the direction Zoro is heading in. Oh man, who knew Zoro was so amazing with directions? Hee, Luffy thought as he followed the swordsman. Back at the slope, "Yo boss, we found money in those 2 boats. 5 million to be exact." 5 million. Django and Usopp yell in unison. Suddenly an orange-haired woman appeared. "Hey, let go of my money," Nami yells, enraged. "Hey wait, where's Luffy? Wasn't he running with you?" "He was, but he disappeared. I don't know where he is." Getting lost at a time like this, damn it, Nami thought to herself. "Alright, listen Nami, you go attack them and I will shoot them from up here," Usopp suggested, being yelled at instantly.
"Why the hell should I go? I'm weak. You go," Don't think just because I'm a man, I'm stronger, my legs are shaking, can't you see?
Django meanwhile just watched these two random teenagers start to argue amongst each other. Didn't that boy say he had preparations? That's enough. All of you charge kill those two morons, Django commanded. Usopp and Nami threw down spikes in an attempt to slow down the fast approaching enemy. It's working, Nami yells in what seemed like excitement as the pirates were falling on the spikes and struggling. Usopp continued to use his slingshot to snipe them as Nami let out a sigh of relief back into her joking mood. Good job, keep it up, I'm going to go and rest, the orange-haired girl said before gasping in shock at what she saw behind them. How did these spikes get here? You idiot, you threw them yourself, Usopp answered. As Usopp was facing Nami, he didn't notice the pirate with a stone hammer approach as he bashed Usopp's head with his hammer. Usopp fell to the floor, blood pouring from his head as Nami looked in horror. Did you fools honestly think you could stop us? Let's go to Captain Curo, the pirate said, starting to advance. Usopp's hand reached out and grabbed the pirate's leg. Regardless of the blood pouring out his head, he yelled, I won't let you go and disturb the peace of the village. I want them to believe I am a liar as long as they live in peace. Another pirate jumped to stab Usopp in the back, but Nami charged in and knocked him out with her staff, being forced to fight other pirates as after blocking a sword she was essentially thrown into the rock wall behind her. As the pirates were about to finish the job, Django yelled in anger and fear for them to rush to the village and see out the plan, otherwise Curo would have their heads. Hearing this, the pirates charged up the slope only to all be sent flying back. What took you so long? Nami questioned, regaining her composure knowing she'll be safe now. What took us so long? Zoro replied in anger. You damn witch, you kicked me down the slope. Well, it doesn't matter, we're here now, Luffy said as he took in the situation, noticing the giant wound Usopp had and the minor cuts and scratches Nami had. Damn it, I should have used my haki earlier, all those years for what? Who the hell are these guys? Django said to himself, looking at the two new annoyances. Django then turned to his crew and hypnotized them, telling them to be stronger. His crew then stood up extra dangerous, hypnotized their new strength on display as one punched the wall and crushed it. Zoro looked on in shock at how some cheap trick made them grow by so much so shortly. He wore his bandana ready to get serious. You two go up the slope, we will handle T, Zoro said as he was cut off by a growl from his captain. Don't tell me you got hypnotized too, Zoro yelled as Luffy started charging into the crowd, obliterating them. For a second Zoro swore he saw some of Luffy's limbs stretch, but after rubbing his eyes, the enemy was already running for their lives or knocked out. Luffy ran to the enemy rich and picked it up, shocking his whole crew with that strength. Nami looked as she saw what looked like a small glimmer of hope. Shahahaha. You wish to see strength? Let me show you. Thoughts came back to Nami of that. Think picking up a house with minimal effort. Are you strong enough? Nami thought. Her thoughts quickly interrupted however as the ship's bow snapped, causing the ship to land back in the water as Luffy held just the bow of the ship. Django then, seeing his opportunity, hypnotized Luffy again and sent him to sleep, causing Luffy to fall asleep with the bow on top of his head.
Hey, his head, Usopp yelled. He won't die from that, Zoro said calmly, approaching the pirates ready for his turn. Meanwhile at the mansion, Kaya woke up and headed downstairs in search of Klahadore. However, she instead saw Mary on the floor covered in blood. Panicked, she ran to him, noticing he was still alive. Mary explained to Kaya that Usopp was telling the truth and that Klahadore is indeed after her life.
He tried so hard to warn us and yet, we chased him away. We misunderstood that good man's intentions. Mary cried out, remembering how he shot Usopp when he tried to help. And I. What have I ever done for him? Kaya said as tears left her eyes.
Mary told Kaya she has to surrender her riches to him and that she is the only one who can stop Klahadore now. Kaya understood what she had to do, and after patching up, Mary ran to the shore knowing Klahadore would be there. Back to Zoro. Two men had appeared beside Django, one a fat shirtless man wearing red and white striped pants and what seemed like a white cape and a black cat mask covering one of his eyes. The other a skinny green-haired man wearing green shorts and a black suit vest. Both brothers had gloves with claws on them. The Nyaban brothers, huh? Zoro mentioned as he got ready to fight. At first both of the brothers acted cowardly, yet midway running like a fool the skinnier brother sharpened and charged Zoro, catching him off guard, nearly managing a hit on Zoro as he was blocked just in time by Zoro's sword. As Sham, the skinnier brother, backed away, he revealed he took Zoro's other two swords, W being his prized Wado Ichimonji. You damn bastard. Zoro's gaze hardened as he saw Sham with his two other swords. He knew fighting them with just one sword would be difficult. Zoro slashed Sham and seemingly nearly cut him in half. He rushed for his swords but was stopped by Sham, who had a much skinnier waist than Zoro imagined, realizing he only cut his vest. He grabbed Zoro as he told his brother Buichi to attack. Dropkick, Buichi yelled as he went to attack Zoro. Zoro managed to break free and dodge just in time, getting angrier at how his blades were being treated.
Zoro then went on the defensive, blocking blow after blow from both brothers at once. Usopp, in an attempt to help, shot one of his bullets with his slingshot. Zoro saw this mid-battle and blocked it, taking the hit, and got slashed in the process. "Usopp, you idiot, how could you hit him?" Nami yelled. "And no, I was sure my aim was." "Usopp, you idiot, do you want to be killed?" Zoro yelled, standing up. Nami and Usopp realized if the bullet hit the enemy, one of them would start targeting them, putting their lives in danger. That guy. Even mid-battle he still has time to think of that. Usopp thought in shock and feeling bad at how he made things worse. Nami rushed to get the katanas on the floor for Zoro, but was intercepted by Django, who used his chakram to slash Nami's shoulder. Django went in to finish her, but then stopped in fear seeing the figure on top of the slope. "The hell happened here?" Curo yelled in pure anger. Curo was standing there in his normal attire, however this time he had gloves on with long katana-like blades attached to the end of each fingertip. As Curo barks insults at his crew, disappointed at their weakness, the Nyaben brothers decide to attack him, thinking they are more than powerful enough to handle him. However, Curo uses his silent step and completely overpowers them, giving them 5 minutes to get the job done before he kills them all. The Nyaben brothers rush at Zoro head-on with full intent to kill. Before they can, however, Nami manages to kick Zoro's katanas to him. "Damn witch, don't kick my katanas." Zoro yells as he picks them up, smirks, and says, "Thanks.
Stop dreaming with 3 swords, you're still no match for us."
You fools don't know the difference between 3 swords and Santoryu."
Zoro takes a stance and yells, "Toragari," as he slashes through the Nyaben brothers, making them fall to the ground.
Zoro looks at Curo. 5 minutes is all I will need to kill all of you." "Oh, is that so? Seems that the fat one is still alive though. You are too nice," Curo smirks. Zoro realizes that Django hypnotized Buichi and gets ready for an attack, knowing he will have ridiculous strength. Nami takes her opportunity and runs at Luffy, stomping on his face. "How can you still be asleep when we are all fighting?" "Nami, look out!" Zoro yells as Django throws his chakram at Nami. "The hell was that for Nami?" Luffy says as he stands up, blocking Nami and having the chakram slash into his head. Luffy quickly took the chakram out of his head, blood spurting out. "That guy." Zoro looked on, not sure if he was shocked or not. "That hurt." Luffy yelled at Nami. "It wasn't me," Nami yelled as she fell and grabbed her injured shoulder. "You've been injured," Luffy said, suddenly more serious. "I'm fine. This is a battle we can't lose." Luffy looked in, almost amazed that she was doing it for a noble cause. "For the treasure." Nami pumped her fist and left Luffy with a deadpan look. "You all have 3 minutes, Curo yelled, reminding them. "What? How can we kill these people? They're not human," the crowd of pirates cried out in despair, fearing their captain's wrath. The man simply readjusted his glasses and watched on, not caring for the lives of his underlings. "Klahadore, stop it, that's enough," yelled a familiar blonde-haired girl from behind them. Kaya was standing covered in what seemed to be a large brown coat. "Ah, Miss Kaya, I didn't expect to see you here," Curo replied calmly. "Mary told me everything." "Oh, he didn't die? Seems I've gotten rusty in my 3 years of absence." "No, he really isn't the Klahadore that I know," the young girl thought as reality finally set in. "I am sorry, Usopp. I just couldn't believe that Klahadore was a pirate." "Who cares about that? Why are you here?" "I told you to run away," Usopp yelled back, fearing for his friend's life. "Klahadore, if it's money you want, I will give you it, just please leave our island in peace," Kaya yelled, ignoring her friend's question. She was here to try and stop this. Running away was not something she could do. "Sorry, Miss Kaya, but I'm afraid you misunderstand. I also want peace of mind. I spent 3 years gaining the villagers' trust after all. I fell at peace here," Curo stated with a malicious grin, his intentions clear as day. "That is why having my crew attack the village and having you leave a will is so essential." "Kaya, please just run. Don't bother trying to negotiate," Usopp begged Kaya. The girl, however, pulled out a gun instead of running away, to the surprise of everyone there. "Leave this village," Kaya demanded. "So you've become stronger in these few years. Do you still remember how much has happened in these few years? Those boat rides we took after your parents passed away, the sharing of our troubles and happiness, me serving you tirelessly, what an utter waste of life," Curo said with a look of disgust, shocking and breaking Kaya even more. "I have waited so long, suffered so much up till now, so I can kill you today," Curo stated with a gaze as cold as ice. "I used to be a feared captain, then being forced to obey such a useless, weak girl. Do you have any idea how demeaning that was?" Curo yelled as Usopp jumped to punch him in anger. Curo dodged the attack swiftly, then went in to kill Usopp. "Say, Usopp, I haven't had the chance to pay you back for that punch you gave me earlier. You really did hit me hard." However, just as Curo was about to slash Usopp with his multiple blades, a gunshot was heard. Curo was shot in the arm by Luffy, who could be seen holding his gun. shocking everyone standing there, especially Zoro, who couldn't picture the young pirate actually using the gun always attached on his hip. I really hate using this thing. I'll probably never use it again after this. It just isn't me. Sorry Usopp, Luffy said to nobody in particular as he put the gun back into his holster. Curo took a few steps back in pain, gritting his teeth. However, as he went to stand back up straight, the three boys that always hang out with Usopp attacked him with household weapons. Curo blew them all back and started walking towards Luffy, ignoring the sharp pain in his arm. Django, go and capture Kaya. I will handle this pest on my own, Curo said, referring to Luffy standing at the bottom of the slope with a grin. Usopp, pirates take Kaya with you and run away. That is an order, Usopp yelled as he saw his subordinates do exactly as told with little protest. Zoro tried to get in the way but was stopped by Buichi, who started attacking him with his now increased strength. Kaya is a weak girl. Django will catch up to her eventually. If you all want to do something about it, then you must get past this slope, Curo said, fixing his glasses. Well, that won't be hard at all, Luffy said, smashing his fist into his hand. Zoro continued his fight with Buichi as Usopp tried to run into the forest and save Kaya. He only tripped over himself, however, as his body did not have enough strength to move. Curo and his men all laughed at him trying to stand up as Luffy watched in silence, observing Usopp. Even if I am no match, I still have to protect them. I won't let you hurt them or the villagers, Usopp said as tears fell out of his eyes while he struggled to stand. Kuro's men continued to laugh, but all were quickly silenced as Luffy looked at them with a cold glare. Shut up. Laugh at Usopp again and I will kill you all, Luffy yelled before all of them fell to their knees, barely finding the strength to stand themselves. I have had enough of this. Out of the way, Zoro yelled as HCHI finishing the job this time. Luffy, I'm taking Usopp with me to go find Kaya. Do you have any problem with that? Zoro asked as he picked up Usopp over his arm. Nope, go quickly, Luffy responded. Who the hell said you could actually leave? Curo said as he went to attack them. I did, Luffy responded as he suddenly appeared in front of Curo and punched him into the tree, breaking it. Curo stood up, wiping the dust off himself. Let me ask you something before we fight. What is your reason for getting involved with this? I have a friend here, it's as simple as that. Such a simple reason, it'll be the reason for your death. Luffy versus Curo began. Curo used silent step and appeared behind Luffy, ready to cut his head off. Luffy just smiled. Geez, this guy is so slow. The Grand Line and the East have such a difference in power. Luffy ducked and elbowed Curo in the stomach, sending him back a few steps. Careful, you nearly slashed my hat, Luffy said before kicking Curo down the slope. Come on, Captain Curo, you can do it, Kuro's crew yelled, trying to cheer their captain on. Silence. Don't call me by that name. The whole purpose of this plan is to eliminate the name Curo. I am sick and tired of making plans to deal with you useless morons. Curo screamed as he stood up, coughing up some blood. Then how can you even call yourself an ex-pirate if you choose to run? My dreams are far greater than your plans. Luffy yelled out. That's not what a real pirate is. As soon as Luffy yelled that, he was charged by Curo, but this time Luffy took the time to shatter 5 of his claws. Curo jumped back in shock. Nobody had broken his claws before. How fast is this kid? It's fine, Captain. You can still beat him with one hand of the cat's claw. His crew yelled out as instantly one of them was cut down by Curo himself. I have had enough of you fools. You and Django will all die here today. Luffy's gaze suddenly hardened as he watched Curo cut down his men. The hell do you think you're doing? Curo and everyone else froze. You call this being a real pirate? Curo looked up at where this terrifying voice was coming from. It was Luffy, who without knowing was letting some of his conqueror's haki flow out in his anger. Yay, and what about it? You don't even have so much as a bounty. What makes you think you can stand up to me? Curo yelled back at Luffy, snapping out of his temporary fear. You command hundreds of men, but even then you'll never be able to beat Usopp, Luffy said after regaining his composure with his mocking grin. You say I am inferior to that so-called captain in a kid's pirate game? That's right. At this, Curo burst out laughing. Don't get cocky just because you broke half of my weapon. Curo charged Luffy again. In what way am I inferior? The way you think, Luffy responded as he dodged Kuro's attack. You don't know what a real pirate is, Luffy yelled out as he punched Kuro's face, breaking his nose, smashing him into the ground, causing the man to spit out blood and cry in pain. Curo stood back up. Let me show you what a true pirate is. A man who has been on the brink of death and survived. At this, Kuro's entire crew ran in fear. Shikushi. Suddenly Curo disappeared from sight. Ah, how disappointing, I wish there was more treasure, Nami said, standing on Kuro's ship. Is the battle over? Why is everyone running? As Nami said that, she saw bodies of men start flying, blood pouring out, making her drop the gold she had stolen. Curo was killing his entire crew and leaving cuts on Luffy, who was standing still, simply taking the attacks. Captain Curo, please stop, his crew cried out as they were massacred. Nami could only look on in shock and disbelief. Help us. Luffy looked with pure shock on his face. "The hell do you think you're doing to your nakama?" Luffy yelled in rage. Luffy. The orange-haired girl watched in a mix of fear, shock, and confusion. Luffy suddenly disappeared, and when he reappeared he held Curo by the collar and used his other hand to punch his gut, successfully winding him and dropped him on the floor. Curo crawled away breathing in, "And no, my plan cannot fail," he cried out as he stood up in one desperate last attempt. Nami watched in shock, trying to keep up with the fight. How does Luffy keep disappearing like that? Luffy simply punched him with enough force to send him into the rock wall and shatter some of it, knocking out Curo as he stood up and put his hat on his head. Luffy vs. Curo winner. Luffy meanwhile in the forest. Kaya was backing up to a tree with nowhere left to run. In front of her Django stood slowly approaching. He was stopped however as the Usopp pirates surprise attacked him with their frying pans and shovels, doing significant damage to the clearly weak Django. "Damn brats!" Django yelled as he kicked all three of them away. He then went to attack Kaya but was stopped by Usopp and Zoro. "Eat this, hypnotist," Usopp yelled as he shot Django with one of his bullets. "Special technique. Gunpowder star," Usopp yelled as the bullet blew up in Django's face, knocking him out and saving Kaya. Usopp Pirates vs. Django winner. Usopp Pirates back to Luffy and Nami. "He really beat him. Who are you?" a pirate yelled. "My name is Monkey.D. Luffy. No way in hell would I ever lose to a pirate who gave up his name and ran from the sea," Luffy exclaimed. "Monkey.D. Luffy? I've never even heard of him. Who is he?" "I'm the man who will become the Pirate King," Luffy declared with total confidence. Luffy picked up Curo and threw him to his crew. "Take him back, and don't ever come back." The pirates picked up their captain, got on the ship and sailed away as fast as they could. Suddenly Luffy felt dizzy. Why was he feeling so tired? Was it because he'd used too much haki? It's not like he knows how to fully control it yet, simply using it can drain lots of his stamina. As Luffy was falling, Nami caught him and let his face rest on her shoulder. "You fought hard, I guess even you get tired after fighting someone so fast," Nami said, putting the topic of whether Luffy could truly save her to bed. "Guess it was just a small delusion. No human can stand up to a fishman." "What? No, it's not that. These guys were weak," Luffy said, speaking truthfully, although Nami was not buying it. Luffy on the other hand was just laying on the floor, mentally hitting himself for not being able to control his haki properly after so long. "Why did you get so mad earlier? 'Cause that's not what a real pirate is." Nami just looked at Luffy, trying to understand what he means when he keeps saying real pirate. They're nothing but brutes who don't care for anything but themselves after all. "I want meat," Luffy suddenly said. "You, back with Zoro and Usopp." "Hey, can you guys keep everything that happened here a secret?" Usopp asked Kaya and the three kids. "What a secret? Why would we do that? You could be the town's hero," the three boys said in unison. "Yes, Usopp, we have to clear this misunderstanding about you," Kaya said, urging Usopp to reconsider. "There is no misunderstanding. I have always lied to them, so this time doesn't need to be any different. We have a small village. Apart from this, I don't think pirates will ever attack this village, so let the villagers live in peace." Nothing happened. It was all a lie. Meanwhile, back at the village, townspeople began to wake up slowly as the sun rose higher. "Oh my, it's already 7 o'clock? I overslept. Did Usopp not come today? I wonder where that brat is. Feels weird not having him here. Throws my whole schedule off. I'm sure he will be back tomorrow." Back at the slope when everyone regrouped. "Thank you all for your help. Don't thank us, we wouldn't have done anything if you hadn't tried to save your people," Zoro replied. "He's right, doesn't matter, I still got plenty of treasure. I have decided something. I will set out to sea and become a pirate as well," Usopp announced to the shock of almost everyone there. Luffy merely smirked evilly to himself. At the mansion, so he decided not to tell anyone. What spoke? "Yay, I wanted to tell everyone, but it's his request I don't. Speaking of requests, I have a request of you, marry." Someplace near the village, you three fought bravely. That was truly a battle worthy of the great Usopp pirates. The three boys cheered at this statement. "However, I have decided I am setting out to sea. These past 5 years have been amazing. So today the Usopp pirates are officially disbanded," Usopp stated, his own voice breaking as tears pour out of his eyes and the eyes of the three boys in front of him. "Thanks for everything, guys. Please say bye to the villagers for me." "Hey Captain, if this is another lie, stop," the boys cried out. "Do you remember this place? It is where we first met." Small flashbacks begin to enter Usopp's head of how he met the three boys. "A lot has happened. Tell me, what are your life ambitions?"
To own a bar. To become a master carpenter. To become a writer.
"Promise you won't lose sight of your goals. Starting today, the Usopp pirates are disbanded." Usopp says his final goodbyes as he leaves, trying to hide his tears, while the three boys promise him they will never lose sight of what they want, all while crying a river. At the bar, Kaya walked in on Luffy and co-eating. "Kaya, shouldn't you be in bed?" "No, ever since I lost my parents Usopp has encouraged me. That's why I can't be so weak now. Anyhow, I heard you all needed a ship at the shore. A caravel. Nami says, her hands clasped together as she looks at the ship presented to them. Wow. Luffy stood there amazed with stars in his eyes. Sure, you lived on Shanks' ship for years, but this was his ship. It's a caravel. It's a slightly old style, but I designed it myself. It uses a staysail. The controls are in the back, Mary said, presenting the ship to the trio. It's called the Going Merry. It's awesome, Luffy says excitedly. Finally, a place to safely store my treasure, Nami says with berry signs in her eyes. Is that all you think about? Zoro's sweat dropped. I had everything stored for your next journey, Kaya said with a bright smile. Thanks a bunch. Luffy said to Kaya, not forgetting the manners Shanks forced into him when it came to talking to ladies. Does anyone hear that? Oh, it's Usopp rolling down the hill. Luffy and Zoro then stop Usopp from rolling into the sea by sticking their feet out, successfully stopping it but also stomping Usopp's face. Thanks, no problem, the duo said in unison, oblivious to the pain the long-nosed boy was in. So you are going out to sea then, Usopp? Kaya said with somewhat of a sad look on her face. Yeah, I had to go before I change my mind. The next time I come back I will have plenty of stories to tell. I look forward to it. Well, safe voyage you guys. I'm sure we will meet again out on the sea, Usopp said, carrying his bag to a small dinghy. Huh? The hell are you talking about? Get on board, Zoro shouted. You're already our Nakama, aren't you? Luffy stated. Usopp looked at them and suddenly jumped towards them. That means I'm the captain, right? Wait, what? Luffy stood up all confused. So there goes the captain, said Onion. If it's with them then he should be fine. They are all so strong. The three boys all let out a sigh of relief in unison.
As the Going Merry sailed off, Mary told Kaya about how Usopp himself lost his mother to a disease. Ever since that day he has run around yelling pirates are coming, hoping one day his dad will come back home. Kaya sheds a tear at this and stands up and announces she has decided she wants to become a doctor.
Meanwhile, on the Going Merry, to a new crew member, Luffy yelled as everyone had a drink of sake. Cheers, nearly there Belmir. I can't wait to meet you again, Luffy thought as he stared off into the ocean all excited. On an island in the East Blue, a tattooed blue-haired woman could be seen tending to a giant tangerine orchard, humming to herself in the process. Suddenly a giant thud could be heard inside her home, and the sound of something breaking. What's that? The woman yelled as she ran to see what happened. When she got there all she could do was look in pure shock. It's you.